sometimes if you've got any pride. That's a rare kind of commitment, but it's pretty common out here.
Tim Weigel on sports tonight at 10.
General Hospital and The Edge of Night will not be seen today, but this afternoon's episodes will be presented Thursday. Now stay tuned for an ABC Sports exclusive.
ABC Sports presents the National League Championship Series from Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. The Western Division champion San Diego Padres take on the Eastern Division champion Chicago Cubs. The National League Championship Series, an ABC Sports exclusive, is brought to you by Edge Extra Rich Gel for extraordinary closeness and comfort. By the Gates Rubber Company. And by Pepto-Bismol. Pepto-Bismol coats, soothe, and relieve. Pepto-Bismol for most common stomach discomfort. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wrigley Field in Chicago. I'm Don Drysdale, and happy that you've joined us this afternoon. The first game of the National League Championship Series. This will be the best 3 out of 5. The San Diego Padres and the Chicago Cubs. And, of course, tonight, right here on ABC from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, it will be the Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals. But here, when you look at Chicagoland, you're looking at really Chicago mania, Chicago fever, whatever you might have. And, of course, there are so many Cub fans that have just come out of the woodwork because it has been back in 1945 that was the last time that the Chicago Cubs were ever in postseason play. They are here now. A win factor possibly here this afternoon. It is blowing out, and at that time, Wrigley Field is not big enough. Everything perfect, but right now there is just a very gray cloud over Major League Baseball because today we have a Major League umpire strike due to postseason play payoffs, and of course right now they are not here. We have amateur umpires working today here at Wrigley Field. We'll have more on that as the game progresses. Right now, let's go to the PA announcer, Walt Jacobs, and meet the San Diego Padres and the Chicago Cubs.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the starting lineup for the Western Division champion San Diego Padres. First, the manager, number 23, Dick Williams. Leading off and playing second base, number 2, Alan Wiggins. Batting second and playing right field, number 19, Tony Gwynn. Playing first base and batting third, number 6, Steve Garvey. Hitting in the cleanup position, number 9, the third baseman, Greg Nettles. Hitting fifth and doing the catching, number 16, Terry Kennedy. Batting sixth and playing center field, number 18, Kevin McReynolds. Playing left field and hitting seventh in the order is number 14, Carmelo Martinez. Batting eighth is the shortstop, number 1, Gary Templeton. And batting ninth, today's starting pitcher, number 30, Eric Shaw. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the 1984 National League Eastern Division champions, the Chicago Cubs. The manager, number 8, Jim Fry. Today's starting lineup, leading off and playing center field, number 20, Bob Dernier. Batting second and playing second base, number 23, Ryan Sandberg. Hitting third and playing left field, number 36, Gary Matthews. In the cleanup spot and playing first base, number 10, Leon Durham. Batting fifth and playing right field, number 6, Keith Moreland. Playing third base and hitting 6, number 11, Ron Say. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 7, Jody Davis. Batting eighth, the shortstop, number 1, Larry Bowa. And today's starting pitcher, warming up in the bullpen, number 40, Rick Sutcliffe.
A great crowd here at Wrigley Field. The pregame festivities continue, and we'll be right back after this commercial timeout. Game number 1, the Padres and the Chicago Cubs.
The Tuesday Night Bowling League is about to start. They'll stuff themselves with pepperoni pizza and hoagies. But soon, that's going to catch up with them. Whether it's Cliff's heartburn or Paul's upset stomach, the one that coats is the only one they need. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, it relieves heartburn, upset stomach, even relieves diarrhea. Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need.
The special richness of Folgers crystals. Now, discover that same richness in new decaffeinated Folgers crystals. The only decaffeinated with Folgers' rich aroma. And those dark, sparkling crystals that burst into Folgers' deep, rich flavor.
That is rich.
Discover new decaffeinated Folgers crystals.
Attention to details made North American Van Lines, the moving company thousands of American families choose. And today, North American offers you expert moving service and a great moving value. Savings at True Value hardware stores. Call your North American agent for an interstate moving survey and get this savings book worth 25% off these popular products at participating True Value hardware stores nationwide. Now you can make your new house a home. Go North American, a real True Value in moving.
Never fails. The one thing most people overlook about their cars is the belts. You see, after 4 years, they can go anytime. And since today's belts don't show wear, even I can't always tell when just by looking. So if your car's over 4 years old, replace the belts. And tell them you want gates. Now, they've been keeping engines cool for over 60 years, even longer than me. Remember, after 4 years, they can go anytime.
And working with me during this championship series, my two colleagues, two men that have been through this many times in their life, Earl Weaver and Reggie Jackson. And Earl, we'll start with you. The Chicago Cubs and Jimmy Fry. They had a tough start in the spring, but all of a sudden, here they are.
Well, for Jim Fry, it's a dream come true, and it's more or less a Cinderella story for the Chicago Cubs. At one time in spring training this year, the Cubs lost 11 straight games, and late in the grapefruit season, they had a record of .318. Jim Fry and Dallas Green, the general manager, got together and said, what can we do? Well, what they did was improve their outfield defense. Dallas Green got Bob Vanier and Gary Matthews from the Philadelphia Phillies. It didn't only help their defense, but helped them offensively. They needed pitching. They got Tim Stoddard during spring training, middle reliever, 10-6. And then the starting pitchers, two veterans, Dennis Eckersley from the Boston Red Sox, and now the starting pitcher today, Rick Sutcliffe. They couldn't have done a better job of putting the puzzle together. And what the Cubs did after midseason was play good, sound, fundamental baseball. They're not an outstanding defensive club, but they get the job done. They make the plays when they have to, and they get the hits when they have to done.
And Reggie, on the other side, a man you played for in the championship years at Oakland A's, Dick Williams, and those Padres can be tough.
Yes, they can. Dick Williams believes in toughness, let me tell you. When he came over to Oakland, the thing that he wanted to stress was speed, a good fundamental approach, and mental toughness. That's what he had on this ball club. He has speed at the top of the order, and Mr. Alan Wiggins with 70 stolen bases and Tony Gwynn with 33 stolen bases. He believes in professionalism, and along with that, in order to help him instill that thought, he's got Steve Garvey, Rich Gossett, and a man by the name of Greg Nettles, who really give a lot of good comfortableness to this particular ball club. Talking about being able to be tough, they had a bean brawl down in Atlanta a couple of months ago, and it shows you how they stuck in on that one. They won the division by 12 games without a man to hit more than 20 home runs, without one to drive in more than 86 runs, and without a 20-game winner. Also, an advantage of this club is I think they played in Southern California. They did not get a lot of attention. They did not play under a lot of pressure. The Cubs, in the meanwhile, played in front of the spotlight all year long because they play in front of a television station that everybody can see. Watch out for this ball club. They're tough, they're professionals, and they want to win and know how to.
It ought to be a great series. I mentioned before, just one gray cloud. The umpires have gone on strike. Amateur umpires here this afternoon. Earl, I've got to ask you a question of you. Can it affect the series?
It definitely can affect the series. It's not like having major league umpires out there. There will be plays missed because major league umpires miss plays. But if the amateur umpires miss any plays, there'll be big controversy.
And that's the manager's viewpoint, the player's viewpoint, Reggie.
I think it's very unfortunate, Don. I think that the professional people should be here. I think the players have played that way. They expect it. I think they deserve it. And I think it's almost unfair to have this quality of baseball and not have top quality professional big league umpires here as well.
Well, there you have it. From a player and a manager's standpoint, we'll have more on the umpire situation as we go along. The pregame festivities continue, and we'll be back in a minute.
Forget everything you know about shaving and get ready for the extraordinary. Get ready for Edge Extra Gel. The extraordinary gel with over 40% more lubricants than the leading foam. For extraordinary closeness. Extraordinary comfort. Experience Edge Extra Gel.
The enemy. Rain. A mere 1/8 inch can float your car off the road. Thus the rationale for Vector, Goodyear's unique all-season radio. So advanced, its crisscross tread actually pumps away water to help more tire and your car stay on the road. The Goodyear Vector. It simply performs like no other tire in the world.
Nearly 4 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this room with a roller. Then we painted it in less than 1 hour with the new Wagner Power Roller. A living room that took nearly 7 hours. The Wagner Power Roller finished in less than 3. The Power Roller pumps paint straight from the can to the roller or to any of several optional accessories. Why waste your time painting a pan when you could be painting your walls instead? The Wagner Power Roller, the right tool for painting.
When you're working on your American dream, you want it to last forever.
Anderson Windows have helped build American dreams for over 75 years with innovation, energy efficiency, and pride. At Anderson, there are no seconds.
We take the time to build the best. That's what we've always been. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
Baseball fever. Catch it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
The crowd still coming in, a capacity crowd at Wrigley Field. Pre-game festivities continuing in the National League Championship Series. An ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Goodyear Tires and Goodyear Service for more good years in your car. And we'll be back after this message and a word from our local stations.
You know what I don't like about dandruff? Dandruff shampoos. I'm afraid they won't leave my hair the way I like it. This shampoo cares for my hair. It's the only one with a self-balancing formula. Puts dandruff protection where I need it, on my scalp, not on my hair, and it conditions where I need it. Leaves my hair looking and feeling good. Yeah, my shampoo's a dandruff shampoo, but it's today's Head & Shoulders, and it cares for my hair.
You've got it, America. New Sure Roll-On keeps you drier than ever.
Raise your hand. You got it. Raise your hand. You know it. You feel confident, secure.
If you don't want the sticky feeling of most roll-ons, if you want to feel dry, raise your hand. If you don't want wet, if you want to feel dry, drier than ever, raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. If you're sure.
Feel drier than ever with new Sure Roll-On.
Do you know the biggest craze that's sweeping America? It's coming your way. The show where you find out more than you ever knew you could know. Trivia Trap with Bob Eubanks, premiering Monday at 11, 10 Central and Pacific.
Pure and genuine. We say it on every can and bottle because we brew old style with only the finest grains and hops. And we use only sparkling, pure, virgin spring water. Water that has been deep beneath the earth for thousands of years, protected by nature. Water that's naturally pure. Try pure, genuine Heileman's Old Style. It's pure brewed with virgin spring water, slowly and naturally.
From the store that specializes in bringing you the best, Marshall Fields is proud to introduce a new arrival, presenting Stearns & Foster bedding. Each piece is thoroughly inspected from the inner quilting to the 8-way hand-tied box springs. And now, Marshall Fields has Stearns & Foster bedding at introductory savings of 25 to 50%. It's quality, it's value, it's Stearns & Foster, now at Marshall Fields.
This year, 1 out of every 6 cars will need to have its brakes repaired. That's why at Midas, we offer a free brake inspection. If your car needs work, you know it's being done by experts. 500,000 people a year have their brakes fixed at Midas, and we're glad to have the business. But more important, we appreciate the trust.
Trust the Midas touch.
Tim Weigel on Sports, weeknights at 5, 6, and 10.
ABC Sports presents the National League Championship Series from Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. The Western Division champion San Diego Padres take on the Eastern Division champion Chicago Cubs. The Cubs clinched their first ever title in divisional play on September 24th. Now from the bars of Rush Street to the posh high-rises of the lakefront, Chicago readies itself for postseason play for the first time in 39 years. 1969 was the last year Cubs fans had playoff hopes. It was also the first year for a new franchise, the San Diego Padres. Now 16 years later, the Padres have come of age during the competition and winning the division by 12 games.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the colors are being presented on the field by the Great Lakes Naval Training Station Color Guard. At this time, we ask that you please rise and join in the singing of our national anthem as sung by the popular recording star, Jimmy Buffett.
This is for Steve Goodman. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch
course, dedicated to Steve Goodman, a songwriter here in Chicago who passed away just prior to the club's clinching of the '84 Eastern Division Championship. And right now, let's go back to the PA announcer, Walt Jacobs.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we direct your attention to the pitcher's mound. Here today to throw out the ceremonial first pitch is a gentleman who has waited his entire major league career for this moment. Recently named as an honorary member of the 1984 Chicago Cubs, the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Cubs, Ernie Banks.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I never saw him throw a ball like that. Well, we'll be right back with the first game of the National League Championship Series, the Cubs and the Padres, right after this word.
Game 1 of the National League Championship Series is being brought to you by Chevrolet. Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy. By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Lights. It doesn't get any better than this. By Gillette, makers of foamy. If you want a clean, close shave, it's more than thick and rich enough. And by Prestone 2 Antifreeze. America goes with Presto.
Shotgun Rapids, Idaho, and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The shotgun means white water at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden, Old Milwaukee Light.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
It's nasty out there. Some day to run. Soup looks good.
You still nervous about tomorrow?
Well, it is my first 10K run. I just hope I can do it.
Of course you can. You worked hard, ate right. Here, eat your Campbell's. It's good for you.
Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup. It's nice when something that tastes so good can make you feel so good.
I'm surprised you're worried about finishing.
Finishing? I'm worried about winning.
Campbell's soup is good food. What gets America moving when the weather turns cold? Presto. What keeps football heroes on the go?
Prestone. Why does your car need a fresh fill of Prestone? A radiator could look this bad after just 10,000 miles of driving on weak, neglected antifreeze, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. That's the Prestone difference.
What gets the country set for winter from New York to San Antonio? America goes with Prestone.
So we told you about the amateur umpires working the playoffs here at Wrigley Field and at Kansas City. Right now, our other colleague down in the field is Tim McCarver. He's with the National League President, Chub Feeney, to fill us in on the umpire situation. Timmy?
All right, Don Drysdale. Chubb, why are the National League and American League umpires on strike?
Well, actually, it's a question of League Championship Series and World Series money. We've offered them a 20% raise from 10 to 12 for each working umpire in the LCS and from 15 to 17.5 for each working umpire in the World Series. However, they want a large pool of money to pay the guys that don't show up to work, and we feel that's wrong.
Any chance of it being settled before the playoffs are over?
I sure hope so. We're ready to talk to Richie Phillips anytime he gets in touch with us.
We also have with us Peter Uberoff, the new commissioner of baseball, and in your second day in the job, the umpires have to go out on strike. Rather unusual, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's not a great greeting, I have to tell you, but it's a great game, it's a great crowd, and that's what baseball's all about, and I hope it works out. The president of the National League and the American League have been working on this problem for 3 months. with the umpires. I'm not going to, it's their deal. There's no way that somebody can jump in the last minute and try and tell people what to do. The issue is the umpires who don't work the games also being paid, and they have to work that out.
New Commissioner of Baseball, Peter Uberoth, and the President of the National League, Chuck Feeney. Thank you very much. Enjoy the ball game. Now let's go back to the booth to Don Drysdale.
Thank you very much, Timmy. And Alan Wiggins steps in, ready to lead it off. It'll be Wiggins, Gwynn, and Garvey. Rick Sutcliffe, the big right-hander, on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Capacity crowd, a beautiful afternoon. The breeze is blowing out, so pull up a chair, strap yourself in, and hold on.
The breeze will be a factor in this game, Don. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yes, sir. Here we go. The first pitch, and that's a little bit low. With the count 1-0. The home plate umpire will be Dick Cavanaugh. He's 51 years of age from Deerfield, Illinois. At first base will be Dave Slickenmeyer. He's a 41-year-older from Des Plaines, Illinois. And at second base will be Joe Pomponi, 48, from Northbrook, Illinois. And at third base will be Joe Maher, 44, of Arlington Heights. There's a looper foul left side. And the count very quickly goes even to Wiggins at 1-1. On the year, he hit .258. As you look at the umpires I just mentioned, Cavanaugh, Slickenmeyer, Pomponi, and Maher.
And I'm anxious to see if Rick Sutcliffe will stay with the pitching pattern he used all year, not being afraid to throw the curveball 3-1 and 2 balls and no strikes.
There it is, a little bit low. Now, one of the keys, as you look at Sutcliffe, look over Reggie Jackson. Take the cap off. You can see it's going to be trying to get used to the strike zone of these umpires.
Well, certain umpires have different strike zone. Everyone knows that the National League umpires have a different strike zone than the American League umpires, and we'll see what's going to happen with the amateurs.
There's a line drive center field. Dernier right there makes the catch, and there's one away.
Ball hit well.
There's your Cub defense of Durham at first, Sandberg at second, Bowe at short, Say at third, Matthews in left, Dernier in center, Moreland in right, in the battery of Jody Davis and right-hander Rick Sutcliffe, who was 16-1 with these Cubs. Overall, he was 20-6 on the year.
I think the strike zone factor is going to be very important. As you see Tony Gwynn step in here, we saw just after that out was made, Rick Sutcliffe was talking to the home plate umpire just to try to get something together. We'll see how long it takes him to settle down and find out where that strike zone is going to be.
Well, now most of these umpires, as Tony Gwynn stands in, have worked the Big Ten Conference.
Well, I'll tell you, even with a major league umpire, a lot of times a pitcher has to adjust. If a high ball umpire, you got to go up. If it's a low ball umpire, you've got to go down. Because if you keep throwing the ball up and he calls it a ball, you're just going to put people on base.
And very quickly, it is 0-2 to Tony Gwynn, the National League batting champion at .351. 5 home runs, 71 RBIs.
And Sutcliffe showing excellent control within the strike zone. First pitch out, the next pitch in.
The infield straight away, Dernier slightly in left center. They swing the outfield to the left for Gwynn. He will use the entire ballpark. Out of play left side. The home plate umpire, Dick Cavanaugh, he's been on the Chicago umpire reserve list for emergencies just as this since 1976. He has worked several games in both Wrigley Field and at Comiskey Park in 1979. The first base umpire, Dave Slickenmeyer. He currently works for the Big Ten. He works in other college games. He has also worked for the Cubs and the Sox in 1979. In 1979, same for the second base umpire, Joe Pomponi, and also for Joe Maher over at third base. So they have seen major league action. Line drive to Sandberg. 2 gone. Both balls hit on the button.
So far, things are going right for the Chicago Cubs. I was just going to say that a line drive to center field and a line drive to second base, but there's 2 outs and nobody on.
Here is Steve Garvey. Garvey, .284 on the year. Steve had 8 home runs, 86 RBIs.
Take a look right now. I know for a hitter, I would be checking the flag every inning, Don. And I see right now, to me, in the last half hour, the wind is blowing as strong as it's blown since we've been here for the last 3-4 hours.
It is blowing right straight out. Garvey does not get the breaking pitch, and Garvey has that in his book. Here's the flag as you look at them blowing straight away center field. Just a beautiful afternoon here in Chicagoland. Capacity crowd for the first game of the National League Series, high and away.
with that wind, you might think that this would be one of them 11-8 ball games, but with these two pitchers on the mound, it's going to be just a little bit tougher to score that many runs.
Well, Earl, this is the epitome, and I'm sure you've said it so many times in the clubhouse to the starting pitcher, keep the ball down. Garvey doesn't get a fastball and a good one. 1-2 the count.
Sutcliffe's staying to the pattern that he used all year, most of the time throwing fastballs when he's ahead and a breaking ball when he gets behind to the hitter.
Sutcliffe, good fastball, good curve. He'll throw the slider and mix in the change. 2 outs, nobody on in the top half of the first inning.
Since he's come over here, Donnie, he's had the confidence to throw any of his pitches, fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup anytime in the count.
The count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Sutcliffe and that much talked about deal with the Cleveland Indians, where the Indian players came over, they were eligible to play. The Cubs had some difficulty on their roster getting waivers. And of course, Sutcliffe, the rest is history. 16-1. That's out of play.
It has to be talked about a lot when a pitcher comes over and is 16-1. One thing, Reggie, what do you think of Steve Garvey having 8 home runs going into season play? That's not in character.
Well, I don't think that's very many home runs, but I understand he's had a bad hand for a long part of the season with that operation he had last year, and he's adjusted and just gone, put the ball in play to right field. However, he does have 86 RBIs.
Yeah, and with the wind blowing out in Wrigley, he just had a home run cut on the last pitch.
To the outside corner. Garvey's not happy. So the Padres are gone in the first inning. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the Cubs half. No score.
What would you call a Zenith that's ready now for TV stereo sound?
Smart.
With a remote that lets you switch from VCR to computer to cable to games with one easy touch.
Smart.
Plus the new Zenith Chromacolor Contrast Picture Tube for superb color.
Smart.
The Smart Sets, advanced System 3 from Zenith, designed with Zenith computer technology when you want everything smart.
This is today's Chevrolet.
Come on in, take the wheel, start it up, get the feel of the road that goes on. Straight ahead, on your own, the light turns green and you're going on the road that goes on. The road goes on. You're today's Chevy, be today's Chevy, drive today's Chevy, live today's Chevy.
Live it.
Chevy.
Now, Eric Shaw taking his warm-up tosses as you look at the Padre defensive. Garvey at first, Wiggins at second, Templeton at short, and Nettles at third. The outfield from left to right, Martinez in left, McReynolds in center, and Gwynn in right. And the battery of Terry Kennedy and right-hander Eric Shaw, a 15-game winner on the year against 9 defeats. You see the 3.40 ERA. He was the opening day pitcher for manager Dick Williams and the Padres. 6-1 lifetime against the Chicago Cubs and 2-1 in 1984.
I think that's a very important factor, Don. There are some pitchers that pitch well against certain hitters and some hitters that just happen to hit certain pitchers. I think Earl Weaver, our partner up here in the booth, was a man that brought that to the attention of baseball several years ago when he started playing hitters against certain pitchers.
It certainly worked for me, and I'll tell you, it gives a manager a big edge. Of course, we got 2 set ball clubs here. The managers are going to start with the people that brought them to the playoffs. In my situation, I had some platoon players, some role players that came through for me.
Well, Bobby Dernier will lead it off. One of the Philadelphia connection, as they call them over here, at Chicago, but that is just about all gone to the wind, because these are now full-fledged Cubs, and they have certainly endeared themselves to the hearts of the Chicago Cub fans.
Well, Eric Shaw, according to scouting reports, has a better-than-average fastball. The slider's his best pitch. Tries to throw a slow curveball, sometimes struggles with that, trying to make it a strike. He's got a screwball type of change.
We have already seen home plate umpire Dick Cavanaugh start to come up with that right hand about 3 times and not call it. Right there, he started up as Kennedy turned around and said something. As Dernier sends it deep left field. Going back and looking up is Martinez. It's gone. Cubs lead 1-0.
Here, Schau throws a fastball. He's already behind in the count 1-0. And he comes in with a fastball up and out over the plate. And in this ballpark, when the wind is blowing out, you can see your left fielder doesn't even go back on the ball. It is no doubt.
Denier not known for his power, but he caught that high fastball good.
Here's Ryan Sandberg as he takes a breaking pitch for the strike. And you've got to think it all goes back to the very first pitch. Schau and Kennedy thought they had the breaking pitch over. Kennedy wasn't going to fall behind. He came with a fastball, and Schau got it up. Now takes the off-speed curve.
There's that slow curveball that I was talking about. The scouting report says he has trouble throwing that for a strike. But Sandberg chased it.
Ryan, what a year he had. 314, 19 home runs, and 84 RBI. Walked by Kennedy 1 and 2.
I think that goes to show you what type of ballpark that is, and what the pitchers are going to have to pay attention to here is the fact that a man like Bob Denier, who does not have a lot of power, hits the ball way out of the ballpark here today.
He only hit 3 home runs during the regular season, as Sandberg cannot get the breaking pitch. Here's a new innovation for baseball. ABC Super Slow-Mo. You saw it in the Olympics. Look at it again.
We can certainly see how high it is, and you can see the rotation of the ball. I wish that I could have seen the ball like that when I was batting. I might have been able to hit a home run or two.
Here's Gary Matthews as he does not get the fastball. There's Mrs. Bob Denier, Vicky Denier. Boy, she's got to be happy. The breaking pitch low and away. Well, that super slow-mo is, and we're going to be able to have that opportunity to show you that during the playoffs. You'll actually see the rotation of the stitches on the ball and watch, well, just watching good eye what the hitter would see. That's exactly why I quit her. Oh, my ball got that big.
Here's what's happened right here, Donnie. Eric Schau.
There, the right arm started up again. So that's about the 5th time. I think we're going to have to start keeping a track here, Jerry Klein, our researcher, of how many times that right arm starts to go up and goes back down.
Well, the umpire certainly fooled me a time or two.
Inside, and all of a sudden, Schau falls behind 3-1.
Again, right here, he's going to have to be careful here, Donnie, because he's had problems in the first inning giving up home runs. He's already given up 1.
The Sarge, as they call. There's a drive left field. Left field is going back at Martinez. This ball is gone. 2-0 Cubs on home runs by Denier and Matthews.
Well, he's got to be careful, as I said, Donnie. You get that ball up out over the plate, 3 balls and 1 strike, and you have a guy that can drive the ball out of the ballpark. Like Gary Matthews, he's already seen Bob Denier hit a ball completely over the screen. He can sit back. He knows the pitcher has to come to him. He's riding high in the first inning. They've got a lot of emotion here, and bingo, it's 2-0. There's the pitch, and Mr. Matthews, with 19 game-winning hits this year, is on a roll.
I don't think that pitch was up that high, Reggie. We get it one more time here. We get to see it a little bit below the belt, but up above the knees. But a good pitch for Matthews to hit.
As Leon Durham takes a strike. Durham, a .279 hitter, 23 home runs, 96 RBIs, an excellent low ball hitter. There he comes up again.
Cubbies doing their thing in Wrigley Field right now. We might see a few of those before the day's over.
Yes, sir. This is just inning number 1. That's high, and the count goes to 2-1.
And I'm talking about from both sides.
Yes, sir.
San Diego and Chicago.
The Padres hit 109 home runs on the year. The Cubs hit 136. High to the right side. Wiggins calling. He will battle the sun a little. Side saddles and makes the catch. 2 gone. We're
going to get that pitch again. This was the home run to Matthews. Look at the stitching. You can see the seams going over the top. It's a fastball. Matthews knew it. He's looking 3-1. We'll get a look at Shao here. Oh, my goodness. There it goes. He knew it was gone.
Well, very quickly, there are 2 gones and 2 run in. 2 runs in as Moreland steps in, hitting .279, 16 home runs, 80 RBIs. Takes a strike 0-1. 2-0, the Cubs on top in the bottom half of the first inning.
On the home run, if the wind were blowing in, Shao might have rooted for that ball to come back, but he knew it was gone.
Pops him up. There's the shortstop, Gary Templeton. Makes the catch and the side retired. But the Cubs, and listen to the fans. 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 home runs by Dernier and Matthews. No errors, nobody left on base. After the first inning of play, it's the Cubs 2 and the Padres nothing.
All beef, fatty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a fatty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a fatty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, fatty, special sauce, cheese. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Seguin, Texas and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Seguin means barbecue at its biggest and best. And Milwaukee means beer. Cold, crisp, old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden old Milwaukee Light.
And old Milwaukee.
And old Milwaukee Light.
Texas great is their name.
You know, it doesn't get any better than this.
Look at you. You're not the same as you were yesterday. You're looking smarter. You're on the move and going your own way. And J.C. Penney's changed with you. You're looking smarter than ever.
When we made our pinstripe suit, we didn't overlook the details because we know you don't. From styling to stitching, tailored to succeed. The Stafford Collection.
You're looking smarter than ever. J.C. Penney.
Saturday.
The booking charges murder 1, no bail.
Jim Brown hits the streets to save his daughter.
Or a jockey.
The season premiere of T.J. Hooker, Saturday at 8, 7 Central.
The Chicago Cubs on the board. Let's go down to Tim McCarver and Bob's wife, Vicki Dernier.
Rather emotional moment for you, Vicki?
Oh, I'm so excited. Still have makeup running down my face from crying.
You weren't crying, were you?
Many home runs, you know? I was in shock, maybe, a little bit.
Vicki Dernier. Now let's go back to the booth to Don Drysdale. Donald.
Okay, Timmy, thank you very much. Thank you, Vicki. It'll be Greg Nettles to lead it off, hitting .228 on the year. Greg had 20 home runs, 65 RBIs. He'll be followed by Kennedy and McReynolds. So the Cubs jump off to a 2-0 lead on first inning home runs by Dernier and Gary Matthews. And the Padres right now in a position to try and catch up.
Here is a guy that the wind will definitely favor because he is a definite fly ball hitter, Donald.
Well, you've played many a game with this man, and we've said it before. It doesn't make any difference if you hit from the right side or the left side. When the wind's blowing out, you can reach any part of this ballpark. 1 ball and no strikes to Reynolds. Right side and foul to Greg.
Sutcliffe saw those 2 balls jump out of the park, and he has to have those thoughts in his mind when he walks out to the mound.
Jimmy Fry watching the goings-on from that Cub dugout on the third base side. What a job he's done. Boy, you just can't say enough for that man. 1 ball and 1 strike to Greg Nettles.
Well, we said in the pregame show he knew the pieces he needed, and Dallas Green went out and got them for him, and then he put it all together.
Around on the hard breaking pitch down and in.
That is one of the toughest pitches for a left-handed hitter to swing at, Don, to maintain control of the strike zone as a hitter. That hard slider down and in, and Sutcliffe uses it to his advantage, especially against left-hand hitters. That's the one there.
The fan in the stands has himself an early souvenir. Sutcliffe is what we would call in baseball terminology, he's a hooker. You see that ball come behind is the way that hand comes back behind his back, and you'll see that right hand cock in. Get a good look at it from this vantage point right here. There it is. And there's a shot foul.
Now that's a breaking pitch right there, and if he doesn't cock it when he throws a fastball, the opposition is going to be able to pick that up and possibly call his pitches. But if he just turns that wrist like he did on that last pitch once or twice on a fastball, that'll eliminate all the trying to get the pitches.
There's only one thing I'll say about that as a hitter. If you're watching his hand, then baby, you got a problem. And he's 16-1 right now, so somebody's been watching it and it hadn't been very successful.
Well, he says he's done that since his Little League days. That's out of play left side. Now what you'll have to do if you are Ron Say or Larry Boa, or if you are Nettles or Templeton or Matthews or Martinez on that left side, you cannot give up on that ball down that left field line. That breeze will move it back into play. The last pitch by Sutcliffe was clocked at 92. Got him on the breaking pitch. Terry Kennedy coming on, and prior to the game, I had a chance to talk to the San Diego Padre catcher, Terry Kennedy. We'll bring you that little interview as we move along throughout the course of the game. A little technical problem, but Kennedy standing in, hitting .240 with 14 home runs and 57 RBIs. A little bit low, the count, 1 ball and no strikes to Kennedy. 2-0, the Cubs on top, if you might have just tuned in on first inning home runs by Dernier and Matthews. Kennedy has not had the kind of year average-wise that he would like. There's a line drive one. Hopper. Sandberg with a backhand and over to Durham. You're gone.
So easy. Now there's a major league ball player. The ball's hit hard. He's going to time it, make sure he sees it, gets himself set, throws to first base. There's so many amateur second basemen that would try to get in front of that ball, and the play is just impossible to make that way. He knew he had it on one hop, got himself set, and a good throw to first base. That's why he only made 6 errors the whole year.
You know, Earl, he made 6 errors, and they said he made 4 of those errors in 2 games.
2 games.
That means only 2 errors in 159 games.
Here's Kevin McReynolds. The center fielder takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
And Sutcliffe continues to hit good spots.
There's a 91 on that fastball. McReynolds hit .278 on the year with 20 home runs, 75 RBIs. Very quickly 0-2 as Sutcliffe has retired the first 5 that he has faced, striking out 2. Looked very calm, cool, and collected out there on the mound, and looked like he has a thought of worry in the world. Got him looking. Strikeout number 3. Struck out 3 of the 6. We're through 1.5, and the Cubs lead the Padres by a score of 2-0.
Are you sure Laura said okay?
She did call from school last night.
Let's get to work.
Right now, there's a very special sale going on. Buy famous Glidden spread satin for only $9.99 and get a Kodomatic Party Star instant camera for $19.95.
Honey.
A $60 value. So now you have 2 reasons to smile. Glidden helps you create a special moment, and Kodak lets you capture it.
Sodium can turn up where you least expect it, even in your antacid tablet. Looking for an antacid without sodium? Tums is virtually sodium-free, and it also neutralizes 1/3 more stomach acid than the other leading brand. Tums lets you do without the heartburn and without all that sodium. And for liquid strength in a tablet, Tums EX.
There'll be 50,000 people here tomorrow. The Office Automation Expo. This company is big in computers. They're just announcing their first system, But one company has it all right now. Professional workstations, electronic printers, file servers, and they can all work together. They've already installed more than 800 networks worldwide. What puts this company ahead of the others? Teamwork.
On CFA College Football, the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers clash with unbeaten Oklahoma State, or Georgia tackles Alabama, Saturday live at 3:30 on ABC.
Ron Say to lead it off, but right now, let's go back to that interview with the Padre catcher, Terry Kennedy. Terry, your reaction to the umpire's strike?
Well, I believe that they had the right to do what they did, even though it might seem piddling to a lot of people what the issue is, but I'm worried about how well the amateurs are going to do. They could, they could cost us $30,000, $40,000 on one call, us or the Cubs. And I think it's the league's fault for dragging their feet, because this could have been solved a long time ago. And they surely knew that to have maximum leverage, the umpires could possibly go out just before the playoffs.
Ron Say to lead it off. Ronnie hitting .240 on the year. 25 home runs, 97 RBIs, and the Penguin came on when they needed him.
Yes, he did. He drove in some runs. You know, he's 36 years old. They say he lacks arm strength. They say he lacks quickness, but he gets the job done. It's like we said in the pregame show. He makes the sure plays. He only made 11 errors all year, and only one other year did he have a better percentage than that.
Let's see where they pitch, Ron. Say he's got that tape on his hand, and the Padres have been crowding him, jamming him all year. We'll see if they try to stay inside on him today.
Boy, Dick Williams barking out of that San Diego dugout. There's been a lot of shoulder shrugs out there with Kennedy and Chow. There's Williams. I guarantee you one thing, that man right there will keep that home plate umpire, Dick Cavanaugh. He won't let him go to sleep.
No, he's upset. There's no doubt that he's upset. And I'm talking about the amateur umpires.
There's a fastball for the strike. Well, a lot of people will say, we've talked about up here, well, maybe what's the difference? You have to adjust. But the thing is, as a pitcher, when you don't get the pitches that you should get, you change the sequence of pitching.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The 3-1 pitch. Walks him.
Well, they're going to stay with their pattern. They're going to try to stay inside on him. He stayed that way until he walked him.
Well, the Penguin goes to first.
Here's this pitch here. Not really that close. Not close to hitting him, but way inside. That's where they want to try to get Ron Say out. Ball 4.
Oh, Eric Chow. And about the only thing that you can do, somebody might wonder, well, what can you do? You've got to go back. You can't change your style to the point to where you're going to completely give things up. You've got to force it in the mind of that home plate umpire. What you do, how the ball breaks, and where your locations are.
And so far, I've seen that Chow wants to start some hitters off with breaking balls, and I think that's the pitcher. I mean, that's the pitch that home plate umpire Dick Cavanaugh has been missing.
That's
the
exactly.
Breaking ball on the first pitch.
I agree with you 100%, Earl. 0-1 to Jody Davis, who hit .256. Breaking pitch high.
And we got Say on first base. Really no threat to run, especially with the wind blowing out. Jim Fry's going to try to get the 2-run homer, the 3-run homer if he can.
Davis with 19 home runs and 94 RBIs. You'd see that number against Chow. High to left. Now watch where that'll end up. There's Martinez fighting a little bit of the sun. 1 away.
Davis didn't miss that pitch by much either.
Earl, whenever you hit him to the medium outfield there at Wrigley Field with that wind blowing out, you don't miss him by much. It is amazing how the game is played with the wind blowing out as compared to the way the wind will blow in.
Well, here's one fellow that is not a threat to hit the ball out of the park, even though the wind is blowing out.
I don't know, Earl. I tell you, I don't know. The way that Bob Denier hit his ball completely out of the stadium, I wouldn't doubt if this guy could hit one as well.
Well, we've got the outfield in very, very shallow, and all swung around to left field.
Well, they've got to be the book on Boa. He's a switch hitter and will hit from the left side against the right-handed pitching of Chow. It's .223 on the year. Larry did not have a home run. He had 17 RBI. There you see right there what he has done against Chow. That last pitch at 92. Hard. Templeton will go to the bag himself and turns it loose. And he can turn it loose. So just like that, the Cubs are gone in the second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. They leave nobody. We're through 2 in game 1. The Cubs lead the Padres 2-1.
who has vibrant greens, brilliant blues, the crispest reds, an incredibly lifelike sound? Only RCA. Introducing Full Spectrum Television, the only full stereo TV to process 100% of the audio-video signal. All the color, all the sound, all the time. Bringing the magic of life right into your living room. Full stereo, full spectrum television, only from RCA. Technology that excites the senses.
Being fast makes Nolan Ryan a winner. Announcing the Gillette Watch and Win World Series sweepstakes, where being fast could make you a winner of one of 10 convertibles or one of 10,000 watches. Enter fast where you see this display. Save up to $10 on these Gillette products. Win fast. During Game 4 of the World Series, Nolan Ryan will announce the car winner. Enter the Gillette World Series sweepstakes fast.
It's Saturday, October 13th. Something's about to happen that's never happened before. In over 120 cities, people are joining together to be part of the Stroh's Run for Liberty, a 5-mile run where your entry fee helps restore the statue. Sponsored by Stroh's and supported by Brooks Shoes. This is not just for runners, it's for everyone. But most of all, it's for her. So call to enter or sign up wherever you buy Brooks Shoes or Stroh's beer.
Do you know the biggest craze that's sweeping America? It's coming your way. The show where you find out more than you ever knew you could know. Trivia Trap with Bob Eubanks, premiering Monday at 11:10 Central and Pacific.
Carmelo Martinez to lead it off for the Padres in the third, and I had a chance to talk with Rick Sutcliffe. Of course, Sutcliffe 16-1 with the Cubs, 4-5 at Cleveland. Was there one thing that fell into place? Because you were just right around the 500 mark with Cleveland. What turned it around over here?
Well, the last 2 years, I led the American League in walks, and when I came over here, Billy Connor set me down and said, with this ball club, as many runs as they scored and the great defense that they play, you don't need to walk anybody, and if you can keep the ball in the park, you're going to win a lot of games. And I just stepped back, and I found out that I had a little bit better stuff than I'd give myself credit for, and I just quit walking people. I think in the last 2 months, they said I walked maybe a handful of people, and with our ball club, as many runs as they score, then you're going to win a lot of games if you don't walk people.
And indeed, that is pitcher's worst enemy, base on balls, as Carmelo Martinez will lead it off. He hit .250 on the year, 13 home runs, 66 RBIs. Look at that. That will give you an example right there. Has not walked the leadoff batter in the last 63 innings. Outside, and the count goes to 2-0 to Martinez, a former Cub himself.
Well, he's 2-0 now. If he's not going to walk the leadoff hitter, he's got to come to a man that can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
This is where you're going to see how good he's going to be, because in the past he's been able to get guys like this out with this kind of count. He's been that good this year that even when he gets behind, he comes back down.
Well, as I said earlier, he's thrown a lot of 2-0 breaking balls, 3-1 breaking balls, and he's been able to get that pitch over. There he missed with a fastball.
And he walks him. So the Padres have their first base runner of the afternoon. The base on balls to Martinez, so that will break that string. Sutcliffe had retired 6 in a row and striking out 3 of the 6 as Gary Templeton will stand in. I think what the Padres have got to do right now, yes, I'm sure that they have been a little bit disturbed down in that dugout, Shao Kennedy and manager Dick Williams, but they've got to get themselves regrouped as quick as they can and say, look it, we can't fight these guys. We've got to go out and join them, and we got to try and come back and win.
Going to have to trust him. Keep doing the things that you have to do and hope that the umpire really will fall in line.
There's a fly ball center field. Denier going back. See the sun shining. Look at that ball carry right in front of the 368 marker. Oh, my.
Here's a good example of what we talked about, outfield defense. Ball hit well. Templeton smacked it hard. Denier off with the crack of the bat, fighting the sun right there, trailing the ball. In spring training, those are the ones that Jim Fry said went for extra bases.
Well, that was an outstanding play right there, I'll tell you. When you see a guy like Rick Sutcliffe walk a hitter, give up a line drive like that, when you're hitting against him, you know he may be having a little problem now. As good as he's been, you know you've got to take advantage of that problem.
Well, there's 2 pitchers out here this afternoon that can swing the bat, Eric Shao and Rick Sutcliffe. You saw that last stat on Shao. He hit .246 on the year. 3 home runs and 10 RBI.
Well, with a lot of pitchers, it'd be an automatic sacrifice, but not with Shao.
They call him the master of the slug bunt, the way they term it over at San Diego. That means where he will turn around, fake, turn around back, get in position, and swing. Look at that. Oh, Lord.
Pretty good swing.
There's some National League hitting pitchers right there. Rick Rhoden, excellent. Schatzeder, Montreal. Mailer with Atlanta. Sutcliffe and Shao. 1 ball and 1 strike, 1 out and 1 on. We're in the top of the third, 2-0. The Cubs on top. First inning home runs by Dernier and Matthews. Good fastball.
There's one he threw right by him. Well, the big winners in Major League Baseball don't only pitch well, but they help themselves with the glove and they help themselves with the bat also.
1-2 the count. Infield with 1 out, of course, in double play depth. High. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And, of course, that will be coming your way tonight. Be sure to stay tuned. 8 o'clock Eastern time for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the Tigers and the Royals, live from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Pitch, and he takes the count full 3-2.
Don, I noticed Rick Sutcliffe almost as much as anyone I've ever seen shaking off the catcher quite a bit. Not only is he in command with control of his pitches, but he seems to be calling his own game.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. He struck him out. There it is. Early came with a 3-2 hook.
Well, that's one of the amazing things, and if you're able to throw that 3-2 breaking ball, and especially to the opposing pitcher, it's unbelievable. Here's the super slow-mo again. Looks like it's going to be a high fastball, but you can see the spin on the ball, the curveball breaking down over the strike zone. Just an amazing pitch.
Now there's 2 gone, and that will bring on the leadoff hitter, Alan Wiggins, who lined hard to Dernier to lead off the ball game. Of course, with that super slow-mo, you'll be able to pick up actually the stitches on the ball. That's foul left side. And of course, as we all watched the Summer Olympic Games from Los Angeles, ABC's coverage had a chance to see the super slow-mo in action, and for the first time right here on Major League Baseball, a chance to see it in a new sport. Indeed, it is very intriguing.
Well, when you can pick up the seams on a baseball being thrown over 90 miles an hour, it has to be intriguing.
Of course, Ted Williams was always a man who used to talk about picking up the rotation of the ball, picking up the seams, a spin.
And because he could do it, he hit 400.
That outside corner. 0-2 very quickly to Wiggins. That fastball at 89. Sutcliffe, a variation of moves to first. He has just a little nonchalant move, and then he'll give you the good one. Martinez, not a lot of speed. There's just a little nonchalant move right there. Just a reminder move.
Well, he won't be running right now. He's got the first base hole open, and they're down by a couple of runs. They're not going to take any chances.
Missing high and away, the count 1-2.
You sounded like a manager, Reggie.
Well, I think I'm not a manager by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that much.
You want the Boston job?
No, thank you.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
Earl, I've been reading about you every day where you're going to go. I'm glad you're here next to me today.
Thank you.
Got it. Weak swing and a breaking pitch. That is a 5th strikeout for Sutcliffe. The Padres are gone in the 3rd. No runs, no hits, no errors, and they leave a man aboard as you look at that breaking pitch again. Wiggins, just a half swing right here. We're through 2.5. The Cubs lead it 2-0.
America, What works like a Chevy truck?
Nothing.
What prowls and growls like a Chevy truck?
Nothing.
That's right.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Tough on the job, easy on the buck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. So bring out the sun. Bring on the fun.
Bring on the fun.
You've got the goods.
You've got the goods.
Get out and run. Bring on the mud. Bring on the mud.
Bring on the muck.
Bring home the bacon in a Chevy truck.
You know, Chevy trucks have been working proud and playing rough for a good many years now. They've built up a real reputation. If you want a truck that works and plays as hard as you do, you want a Chevy.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Tough on the job, easy on the fun. Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
In today's Army, when artillery goes to the field, so does high technology.
Be all that you can be. Keep on reaching. Keep on growing.
Computers, laser-guided missiles, and teamwork honed to a split-second response. Only the Army gives you this kind of training with just a 2-year enlistment.
You can do it in the Army.
On Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers, one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the league, tackle the tough New York Giants, Monday at 9 Eastern on ABC.
I have with me sweet swinging Billy Williams of the '69 Cubs. Brings back great memories here today, huh, Billy?
It really does, Tim. And, of course, I was just sitting here and just looking out in left field and saw some balls that you hit out there in left center. And, of course, you know, you look at a game like this, and although the Cubs are up 2 runs, you got 2 very good pitchers out there. But, you know, playing here in Wrigley Field, the game is never over until it's over.
Sweet swinging Billy Williams. Now let's go back up to the booth to Don Drysdale. Donald.
Thank you, Timmy, and thank you, Billy. Boy, you talk about a sweet swing.
Billy couldn't have said it better.
No, sir. Here's Rick Sutcliffe, and he can help himself with a bat. Hit .250 on the year, had 6 RBIs. Sutcliffe, as I mentioned before, came from Cleveland with Ron Hassey and George Frazier. In a trade that was just about botched up in the minds of many baseball people. 4 players were sent to the Indians, and the Cubs had trouble getting waivers on too. Mel Hall and Joe Carter. It took 5 days to really complete that trade and put those players in Indian uniform.
High to right, way back. This ball is gone.
Oh, he wants to do it all by himself, this fella.
He's not far from it. That ball is hit completely out of the stadium. I mean, on the other side of the street.
And Reggie Jackson shot.
What can you do? 16-1 on the year, and the first time up, hit one completely out of the ballpark.
Well, there it is. Shaw's going right after him. Fastball below the belt, over the screen in right field. He's going to be a free agent, Reggie. He can hit. He's 16-1 in the National League. My goodness, how rich is he going to be?
It's 3-0 the Cubs, and action will start in the Padre bullpen as the leadoff hitter Bobby Dernier stands in. Led off the first inning for Chicago with a home run. Up high, and the count 2-0. Harris loosening up in the Padre bullpen, and very quickly the count is 3-0. Shaw just a little bit unnerved by that as Greg Harris starts to loosen up. 3-0, the Cubs on top. There's a strike, and the count goes to 3-1.
Well, Shaw's behind 3-0 right now in the ball game. He's given up 3 home runs, but let me tell you something. He has good stuff.
Second walk. There's the swing right here, Reggie.
I'll tell you, he just leaned back and got a real good full swing on that ball like he had done it before. Look at this. Eric Shaw throws him what they call a fastball right down the middle. Sutcliffe coils, and I mean boom. He is not just trying to put that ball in play. He's trying to put it out of play, and that's what he did.
And again, from our super slow-mo advantage point, as they will have a little chat on the mound, the pitching coach Norm Sherry out to talk with Shao. Nettles and Kennedy were there. They go back as Harris continues to throw in the Padre bullpen. So you've got good speed at first, and Bobby Dernier, 45 stolen bases on the year.
Definitely a run situation.
And you've got a good man at the plate that can handle the bat in Ryan Sandberg.
One thing I know, and I know you know it, Reggie, that Dick Williams will not let him get down in this ballpark. That mental toughness you talked about, he'll be reminding them we can score 3 runs ourselves.
Oh, that's for sure. It's quite easy to score 3 runs in this ballpark, especially today, because they've hit 3 home runs. But maybe to the advantage of the San Diego Padres, there have been no one on base.
Definitely to their advantage.
3 solo shots by Dernier and Matthews in the first inning, and Sutcliffe to lead off this inning, the third.
I tell you, I played with a guy in Oakland all the time. He used to give up 2 or 3 home runs all the time. No one was ever on base. That's Catfish Hunter, and he was a pretty good one.
As Sandberg takes inside, 1 ball and no strikes to count. The biggest thing that Shao has to think about right here, and what Norm Sherry might have been saying, now look at, let's don't get down a little bit and try and overthrow. Keep within yourself. We're not out of this ball game.
That's exactly right, and I believe he did try to overthrow to Dernier.
The breaking pitch and a good one. 1-1 the count.
If he can just get his breaking ball over, he's going to be fine. Got his work cut out for him right now here. Ryan Sandberg has done just about everything you could think of on a baseball field this year in '84.
What a year he's had. There goes Dernier. On the hit and run, popped right side. Dernier didn't see it. Now has to step back onto the bag. Look out for the wind. It dropped.
It's going to have to be scored as a base hit. Sandberg had that big cut, never got all of the ball. This ball was Tony Gwynn's all the way, but evidently he took 4, 5, 6 steps backwards before he started coming in, and then could not regroup and get himself to the ball. There he is coming in after the ball, but after taking those steps backwards, it was just a little bit too far for him to go.
Here's Gary Matthews, and the breaking pitch outside. He overthrew that breaking pitch.
No, that base hit right there is only the 3rd base hit that Ryan Sandberg has got off Eric Shao. He came into this ball game lifetime 2 for 30 against him, and one of them was a bunt single.
And not a legitimate base hit at that.
Nobody out. Runners at first and second. Matthews, the strike. In the count, 1-1.
Now there's a play that we used at Baltimore. Had the third baseman back, not necessarily a sacrifice. Matthews thinking, I'm going to accomplish 2 things at once if I can. I'm going to get the runners over and still try to bunt for a base hit. It was not a sacrifice attempt.
Takes a little bit off the breaking pitch. The way Shao has been going right now, he might have to think about adjusting his pattern of pitching and go with a breaking pitch more to show him the fastball.
More change of speeds, I think.
Right.
I think too many pitches have been thrown up there at the same rate of speed.
All 3 home runs have been a hit off a fastball. The only other base hit has been this little looper hit by Sandberg. Matthews setting a new record, as he's had 4 home runs in 4 consecutive LCS games. That's to right field. Look out. McReynolds over, fighting the breeze, the sun, with a catch. Dernier tags. He'll go to third. Sandberg holding at first. There's one away.
There we saw the wind out there again, playing tricks with the outfielder, Don. McReynolds went way back almost to the warning track, then had to come way in on the ball.
Well,
Matthews gets the job done as he advances the runner, Bob Dernier.
He moves Dernier to third. What you have to think about here if you're an outfielder, there's 2 things. Actually 3 things. Number 1, your normal positioning that you would play the hitter. Number 2, a little Kentucky windage with the wind. And number 3, from center field to right, as this game progresses, will be the sun field, and it'll end up in right field. Dick Williams down in the Padre dugout. As Leon Durham stands in, he popped to the second baseman. Alan Wiggins, his first time at bat. A looper to left. That's going to drop for the base hit. Here comes Dernier. Sandberg to third. A throw by Martinez. They didn't have an umpire there. And he calls him safe.
Well, he got the play right, but there's no... I want to say there's no excuse for it. If they were Major League umpires, there wouldn't be any excuse for it. But they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar already.
Well, already we have seen enough to make Major League Baseball or somebody stop and think a little bit about this umpire situation.
That's not good. You're exactly right, Don and Earl. You see that happen. Fortunately, he made the correct call. As we see this ball again, a fastball out over the plate, looped into left center. Martinez throws a strike to third base, and the umpire isn't even in the picture now. You can't even see him in the camera. Too bad. Really is too bad. That's not good for baseball. Luckily, he got the play right.
Now runners remain at first and third. It's 4-0 Cubs as Keith Moreland stands in. He takes the breaking pitch for the strike.
In the umpire's favor, the amateur umpires, if they had umpires down the line, the third base umpire would only have one job. He wouldn't have to go out to see if a ball was going to be caught and run back. They need 6 umpires, whether they're amateurs or whether they're professionals.
Earl, I can't understand why they don't have 6 umpires.
I think they should have 6 umpires as well, but that ball's hit in left center. He's supposed to be on the bag there. You don't need anyone down the line there.
Now 2 runs in for the Cubs here in the bottom of the third. They lead it by a score of 4-0. Runners at first and third, just 1 out. 0-1 to Moreland with Say on deck. Up and in, 1-1 the count.
Very, very important right now for the San Diego Padres and Eric Shout to shut this rally off, because the way Mr. Sutcliffe has been pitching, if he gets any more runs at all, it's going to be tough to catch him.
That's just inside, and the count goes to 2-1. Well, Sutcliffe on the year was 2-0 against the Padres with an 0.52 ERA.
I'm sure that Dick Williams knows that, is aware of it, and that's why he's on the first step of the dugout right now.
Doesn't get the breaking pitch, and a good one. 2-2 the count.
Well, let me say something about Moreland. Right there, we saw a breaking ball on the outside half that he tried to pull. Now that he's got 2 strikes, the scouting report is that he'll go to right field. We got Garvey holding the runner on at first base, and we'll see if that holds true. Pitching pattern now by Shaw would be come back with a fastball on the inside half.
You go away, and as you say, Earl, Moreland moving to that right side, has got a hole and a half to hit through. There it was, the attempt.
The book on Keith Moreland is that he is a guess hitter, meaning he looks for pitches, be it curveball, fastball, also looks location, be it inside or outside. Sometimes he can look bad.
There's that hole on the right side with Garvey holding Durham, and he's got speed. He'll run, and there he goes. Fly ball hit the center field. McReynolds started back, tagging Sandberg. The catch, the throw. Offline, Sandberg scores 5-0 Chicago. They appeal at third, and the third base umpire was just walking back towards left field with his back to the play. So the run will count.
Well, that's 5 runs, and people might think that this is turning into a blowout, but that's far from true here in Wrigley Field.
I would love to agree with you, Earl, but the way that Mr. Sutcliffe has been pitching all year long and today, it might be tough.
Here's Ron Say, and yes, sir, it's hard to give Rick Sutcliffe free rein. Say takes inside, so the pattern there is to keep it inside, jam him.
Say's another hitter that you might say, look, see, he hits a curveball equally as well as he does the fastball, which means that he might be looking for pitches at home plate also.
Well, most hitters do. Most hitters do. They know the way someone's going to pitch them. They can work with the count, 2 balls and 1 strike, 2-0, 3-1, and they can hit accordingly.
Well, we've got the American League action coming your way tonight from Kansas City. And, guys, I got to ask you, who do you like, Reggie?
Well, Kansas City beat us, so they must be tough.
Earl?
They beat the Angels.
I have to say on paper, you know, past performances, black and white, Detroit, to me, has to be the big favorite of all 4 ball clubs.
I think so. I think, yes, you'd have to say that.
That doesn't mean it's true, but I'm going to say that.
Not in a short series. Anything can happen, as we've all said. Essay takes the breaking pitch down low, 3-1.
And Shaw wants that pitch.
Since we're in Kansas City, gentlemen, let's go back over there. And I say, on the carpet, the Kansas City Royals are as tough as anybody.
Boy, I'll tell you, they can create a circus of their own over there. You could just see the drop of the shoulders by Shaw, saying, what in the world? 3-1 to say. Right now, let's go down to Tim McCarver.
All right, Don Drysdale, we're asking Chub Feeney why there weren't 6 umpires in the ball game today, Chub.
Well, we feel 4 is enough. This has happened in the past, we've only used 4. These people are not used to working with 6 umpires, and we feel they're very competent, and we do use 4 all season. You know that, don't you, Tim?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chub. Back to the booth, D.
And they used 6 in the playoffs in the World Series as he strikes out. So 3 runs in, and we're through 3. It is 5-0 Chicago.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we going to do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire-brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases.
Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
It was moving day. Things were going great. Until the moving truck died at the toll booth gate. The troopers were glaring. Tempers were flaring.
Do I hear swearing?
What's more, it started to pour. The tow truck came and we gave a cheer. Then the couch slid out the rear. Now I know rider trucks are newer. They're tougher, they're strong. And driving a bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way. It's rider or it's wrong.
The beauty of a Delta faucet is, when it's on, it's on. And when it's off, it's off. Its washerless design helps keep it from dripping, so it lasts and lasts and lasts. Delta faucet. We're first because we last.
Saturday.
Just call me Mr. Champ.
Ace takes on a boxing challenge.
Shake hands and come out fighting.
And calls on Isaac to pulverize the champ on the Love Boat.
Well, we're back here at Wrigley Field at 5-0. That was an interesting answer by the National League president, Earl Weaver.
Well, I wasn't satisfied with it. Chubb said that these fellas are competent. They only need 4. In every playoff and World Series I've been in, they needed 6 major league umpires to call it right. Now, I don't understand the answer. 4 amateurs are better than 6 regular umpires. It doesn't make a lot of sense. What do you think, Red?
Well, I think we could suffice to say that Chubb Feeney feels a little embarrassed and uncomfortable and gave a bad answer under pressure.
That's exactly about the only way you could describe it, as Tony Gwynn stands in, leading off the top of the 4th inning. Takes his strike, 0-1. Gwynn, as we mentioned before, uses the entire field. He lined to the second baseman, Ryne Sandberg, his first time at bat.
Looked like Gwynn was taking the first strike, trying to get on base, but I think that's useless against Sutcliffe.
Outside. You have Say up inside the bag at third. Gwynn with good speed. The infield and outfield fanned, and that's about the only way you can defense the man. There you see the defensive alignment for the Cubs. That's the center field. Hit hard to near, going back. And out number 1. Boy, he's hit 2 balls right on the button.
He hit 350. He's hit a lot of balls on the button.
He has. Well, the National League Championship Series, this ABC Sports exclusive, is brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this.
Let me ask you a question, Don. I notice, or it seems to me, as though Rick Sutcliffe seems a little more confident, like he's charging the hit a little more. I always watched for this when I was playing in a ball game. Does it seem so to you?
He is. He's challenging. He knows he's got fairly good command this afternoon. As Garvey takes the first pitch up high. Garvey caught looking his first time at bat. He will challenge you, Reggie. That's one thing about Rick Sutcliffe. He is not a standoffish type pitcher. You would have to classify Sutcliffe as a power pitcher, and any time that you get a power pitcher, as you both know, that's a little standoffish, look out. Good bunt, and Garvey will do that. Say comes on. Can't get him.
Smart heads-up play by Mr. Steve Garvey.
There's no doubt about that. Sutcliffe can't get hurt until they get people on base, and Garvey did what he was supposed to do, get on base in that situation.
And I'll tell you one thing, Steve Garvey is maybe one of the best bunters in all of baseball.
Well, this isn't really a great bunt. The ball is bunted fairly hard, but he's trying to take advantage, I'm sure, of Mr. Ransay. Not quite what he used to be, although still an outstanding third baseman. He's playing back, and that's what happens.
Well, you got some high grass, and Garvey knows baseball. He does what he has to do when he has to do it. Two men on base, he wouldn't do that. He'd try to hit the ball out of the ballpark and get him back in the game.
Let's give this man credit.
Well, here's Greg Nettles, and of course, when you look at the breeze, as we've talked before, put a man on, another man who can reach the seats, and you're back in the ball game, even though the Cubs are up 5-0 right now, top of the fourth. A lot of time left. But it will depend a lot on Mr. Sutcliffe, too. Nope, there went the right arm again, and it came back down.
Now, watching, I thought he called it a strike.
Nope, he went back down. He's done that numerous times, Reggie. He's had me jumping a little bit up here.
He might be pointing inside, outside with that right arm and calling it a ball.
Down low, 3 balls and no strikes to Nettles, and that's what the Padres need right now. They need base runners, as you look at the governor of the state of Illinois. Governor Thompson. There's a strike, 3-1 the count.
As a manager, I'd let him swing away right now, try to get myself 2 runs and get back in the ball game.
He's got to be swinging away right now, that's for sure.
That's to center field and hit well, but Dernier going back, fighting the sun and the breeze to make the catch on the warning track to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Again, another one hit hard to center field, and Bobby Dernier, he's impressing me with the jump he gets and the way he battles that ball out there.
So there's 2 gone, and that'll bring on Terry Kennedy, the catcher. Yes, sir, that young man, Mr. Bob Dernier. What a welcome addition to this Cub ball club. See right there the numbers on Terry, 6 hits and 62 at bats with 2 outs and runners on base. That's not going to get a lot of it.
No, that's less than 100. The last couple of years, he's driven in well over 90 runs a season. Has tailed off somewhat this year, Donnie.
Kennedy this year at the 240 mark, 14 home runs, 57 RBIs. We talked about Dernier as you look at Garvey at first. That was the one thing that Jimmy Fry thought about in the spring when they had such a horrendous spring, as Earl alluded to at the top of the show. They made the trade for Dernier, and all of a sudden some of those gaps were plugged.
Also gave him a leadoff man.
Right.
Well, Dallas Green was familiar with Dernier from being in the Philadelphia organization.
Low, 3-0. So Sutcliffe, as you look at Ruben Amaro in behind, manager Jimmy Fry. Amaro, one of the coaches with the Cubs.
And he's also from the Phillies.
Yes, sir. And that man, he could pick it too. Sutcliffe has taken a 3-ball count to a few hitters this inning as he walks him. Now, you talk about the breeze and the swing of the bat. First walk issued by Sutcliffe, although the Padres only have 1 hit. Check that. Second walk.
The last thing that Sutcliffe wanted to do, too.
There's a young man that has really come on for the Padres. He had a great spring. He had things to do, things to prove, and he did it. Kevin McReynolds.
You know, one thing I've noticed the last couple of years, I remember sitting next to Billy Martin one day in a dugout, and he told me, he said, Reggie, watch the opposing pitcher when he goes out on the mound, when his team scores runs. See if he gives up runs. He said, a lot of times they do, because they sit in the dugout a long time, they get a little stiff, and they're not quite the same. They get out of rhythm.
Down low, the count 1-0.
That stiffness in the dugout during a long inning is something that always bothered me. I tried some way or another to get my pitchers extra throws between innings.
And if you are a pitcher, that is the most important inning in the course of a ball game, if you can go out and shut that opposition down after you score. Outside. 2-0 the count.
Right now is a time, as I said a little earlier in the game, when you know you've got a tough pitcher that you're swinging the bat against today. You see him struggling now. You've got to capitalize now. You must get something now on the board.
And it's 3-0. So all of a sudden, home plate jumping around a little bit.
Very out of character for Rick Sutcliffe.
On deck, Carmelo Martinez. You've got Garvey at second and Kennedy at first. There's 2 outs. We're in the top of the 4th inning. 5-0. The Cubs on top. There's a strike, 3-1.
Well, it goes back to Steve Garvey's bunt. Made Sutcliffe think just in place of going right down the middle, it would only be 1 run. With Garvey on first base, it's 2 runs. The pitcher has to think a little bit about that.
And also, it's turned around and made him work out of the stretch position. Walks him on a 3-1 slider.
Throwing that breaking ball when he's behind.
Now the bases are loaded with 2 outs and Carmelo Martinez the hitter.
I don't really like to see pitchers throw breaking balls behind when they're behind the hitter. As we see this breaking ball in our super slow-mo. What a thing of beauty. I do not like to see hitters throw breaking balls when they're behind in the count like this. They have a chance to walk that hitter. This man's got a 5-run lead right now.
That's been his bread and butter, though, and that's why he's 16-1. He's been able to get that pitch over when he's behind throughout the course of the season, and he don't want to change his pattern in this just because it's a playoff.
I agree he's been super, but I don't like it.
Outside, ball 1 to Martinez.
He's got a 5-run lead right now, or I'd like to see him go after the hitters.
Here comes Jimmy Fry. I wonder in a situation like this why he would even keep in that stretch position. Why not work out of the windup?
Well, he should be working out of the windup, but I know what Fry's going to say right now. Ordinarily, I wouldn't say this, but Fry's going to tell him, Rick, what difference does it make? They got the bases loaded. If he hits the ball out the park, the worst it's going to be is 5-4, and you've seen how we've swung the bat. We're going to get you more runs.
I've always noticed now when I was a hitter, or any young player that I have that plays on my ball club, when a pitching coach or the manager goes to the mound, when the pitcher has been having a control problem, the things that he says is challenge him, go right after him. Now you see the manager leave the mound, you see the catcher come back home, you see the pitcher go back and snug his hat down tight. You're going to get a fastball, pal. Be swinging.
Yes, sir, in this count right here.
Yes, sir.
And if you've been around long enough, that's the one thing that you would maybe stay away from. If you had fairly good command, you might go to the breaking pitch.
You might go to the breaking pitch. Jim Fry, if it was a mechanics problem, would have just sent the pitching coach out. But this is something mental. Go after him, Rick. He wants him to go after him. But, again, I say Sutcliffe has as good a control of his slider as he does of his fastball.
You saw that possible pickoff attempt. Sutcliffe will use that. He'll come up out of that stretch position and go back to second base. Low, and it's 2-0 as Dravecki has joined Harris in the Padre bullpen. There's Garvey at third. You've got Kennedy at second.
This is a very favored spot right now for a hitter, Donnie. 2 balls and no strikes. You know you're going to get a ball to drive. Just keep it fair.
And you've got to be a little selective, too. To right field, hard, coming on. Moreland makes it again! What a catch by Moreland!
Converted catcher, but he didn't look like it on this play. Right on in, made an outstanding play, and took Sutcliffe out of trouble.
So the Padres are gone. No runs, a hit, umpires. They leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Cubs lead the Padres 5-0.
My daughter calls it the Blue Bomber. My wife thinks I ought to get rid of it. And when it needed a new muffler, well, I was afraid she might be right.
Listen, I don't want to spend too much on this car.
Midas had a muffler that was perfect for my budget. Now the old Blue Bomber sounds almost as good as new. And heck, she doesn't look that bad.
Trust a Midas touch.
Crow Wing, Minnesota, and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Crow Wing means Northern Pipe, big and mean. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer, and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light. It's a beauty.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, it doesn't get any better than this.
Life's not always easy, and no one said it's fair.
Only one card provides peace of mind for nearly 80 million Americans, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield card.
But you can find some peace of mind when you hold on to the one that cares. Carry on with the life you're living. Carry the caring card.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield card.
Tonight, the American League Championship Series takes off when 84's best, the Detroit Tigers, scrap it out with the slugging Kansas City Royals, live starting at 8 Eastern on ABC.
As we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, to lead it off for the Chicago Cubs will be Jody Davis, followed by Larry Boa. And then the pitcher spot, Rick Sutcliffe. As you look at some of the people on the rooftops here around Wrigley Field. High on that flagpole on the left field line, a very familiar number, and he has been the man who has thrown out the first pitch. There it is, the only uniform for the Cubs to be retired, number 14, Mr. Cub, Mr. Ernie Banks. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Davis fly to left his first time at bat. Breaking pitch in and over. A ball and a strike.
A lot of baseball people would say, here, Shaw's given up 5 runs in 3 innings. What's he still doing in the ball game? But he's still got good stuff. Still getting his breaking ball over.
Shaw takes the count, 2 balls and a strike. Well, I think even that last inning, although the Padres were shut out on that fine catch by Moreland, that's out of play. Back up over our head. It's got to give you a little lift saying, well, wait a minute. The man is certainly... He's not invincible. He can be a little wild just like anybody else.
You're right there, Don.
To right field. High. Gwynn coming on. He'll fight the sun a little bit. And Tony makes the catch. 1 away. And that'll bring on the shortstop, Larry Boa. Strikes to Larry Boa. That's the story. 5-5-0 for the Cubs, 0-1-0 for the Padres. That's to the left side. Watch the breeze. It's bringing it back. Coming over Templeton. Look out as he makes the play. And indeed, that's exactly what we were talking about. So Rick Sutcliffe will come on. Sutcliffe in a little jam as he comes up. But earlier I talked to Jimmy Fry and I asked him, how do you tell when Sutcliffe is in trouble? Rick Sutcliffe. Now, he's had such a great year, 16-1. How do you tell when he's in trouble?
Well, to tell you the truth, when he got up to about 8 or 9-1, I just let him out there and let him work it out himself, and he usually did. I felt like he had things going his way. You know, pitchers can run in streaks just like everybody else. he seemed to have things go his way. He'd get in trouble and have a way of getting out of it, get the big strikeout or the big double play. In a playoff situation, you naturally can't be as patient as you would during the season. But he's not the kind of guy you get jumpy on the first couple innings. He usually has a way of hanging in there.
1 ball and 1 strike to count. Sutcliffe homered his first time at bat deep over the right field bleacher section and completely out of the ballpark. He hit it a ton. Tell you one thing, he does not get cheated.
You're not kidding. He was swinging for another one, let me tell you.
The Garvey makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down for the Cubs in the 4th. We're through 4. The Cubs lead it 5-0.
Right guard stick will help protect you from odor for up to 24 hours.
Is Gillette Foamy thick and rich enough to restrain this rushing roller coaster?
No, but if you want a clean, close shave, it's more than thick and rich enough.
The enemy. Rain. A mere 1/8 inch can float your car off the road. Thus the rationale for Vector, Goodyear's unique all-season radial. So advanced, its crisscross tread actually pumps away water to help more tire and your car stay on the road. The Goodyear Vector. It simply performs like no other tire in the world.
East Point, Maine and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. East Point means a New England clam bake, summer fun and food at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth golden Old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Saturday, a father's love.
She's been missing for almost 2 weeks.
Look out! Means a deadly turn for the finder of lost loves.
Trying to kill me!
What? Saturday.
Well, don't forget, that'll be coming your way tonight right here on ABC. The American League Championship Series, game number 1 from Royal Stadium in Kansas City. The Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals. And guys, I'll tell you what, when you talk about if there is a home field advantage, home fan advantage, those people in Kansas City have a way of coming to life.
I agree with you, and I know that Kansas City is going to have to win the first 2 in their ballpark in order to have a chance, because when they get to Detroit, the Tigers grow 10 feet tall.
Come on, Earl. Holy cow, you're making it tough. I will say that the Kansas City Royals have played some of the best baseball of anybody since the middle of July, and they're awfully tough in their ballpark. They have a ball club built with speed, built for the carpet, and they are awfully tough in Kansas City.
And right here at Wrigley Field, 5-0, the Cubs on top. As we go to the top of the 5th inning, Gary Templeton will lead it off. Line hard to Denier in center field. He'll be followed by Eric Shaw, at least his spot, but Tim Flannery is out in the on-deck circle, and Alan Wiggins, the leadoff hitter, inside. It took a fine diving catch by Moreland to end the inning. In the 4th, the Padres had the bases loaded and 2 out. Swing by Templeton.
Pitch in a perfect spot.
There's Flannery on deck. One and one the count to Templeton. Line drive, little looper going back. Oh, but the breeze will take it out of his reach. So the Padres and Templeton get a little bit of a break.
That's the type of base hits that get things started.
You know, the wind is not only a factor with the ball hit out of the ballpark, it also takes the little bloopers out of the reach of fielders.
Boy, that is an example right there. Boa just could not catch up to it. Now there you take the breeze on a normal day, Reggie, or even with the breeze had turned around and been blowing in, can of corn.
That's right.
Can of corn.
I think right now we can see why Eric Shaw was still pitching in the ballgame. He was going to hit this inning. Dick Williams wanted to get a chance to use a pinch hitter for him.
Tim Flannery, 273 on the year, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs. line drive type hitter, but I'll tell you, this man will give you 100%. He is a hustling type ball player.
Well, if this were the American League playoff and I was managing, I'd let Shaw stay in the game. But in the National League, you've got to get yourself back in a ball game. You've got to go for the pinch hitter in the situation.
Well, this is the difference between the designated hitter and the fact that they let the pitcher hit in the National League. You see a different game. I've had managers tell me, John McNamara has told me that you need to know the game a little bit better when you're in the National League.
I don't know about that, but you need more pitchers.
Okay.
Out of play, and very quickly the count is 0-2 to Flannery. Say now, who was up inside the bag at third, will back up. The infield double play depth. Dernier, who was over in left center. You see Bobby moving back over more or less to straightaway center. Moreland deep into the alley and right. Look out, hit him.
He took it. He didn't try to get out of the way of it.
There's one for the Gipper right there. Or for the Padres, and here comes Jimmy Fry, Jody Davis, and Rick Sutcliffe both saying, wait a minute.
He did not mind getting hit, that's for sure.
Reminds me of a fellow in World Series got hit with a throw from the shortstop, stuck his knee out.
Oh, no.
Here we get to see it again, and we can see that Flannery never tried at all to get out of the way of this pitch. In fact, look at there. It stuck the knee right into it, took it for the ball club, and now there's 2 men on base and nobody out.
And the top of the order coming up in Alan Wiggins, who has lined to center and struck out.
He's in the batter's box. The ball was in the batter's box as well. He doesn't have to give. There are a lot of hitters that do turn away from the pitch, as he was trying to do. That ball hit him. I'm sure that Mr. Flannery did not mind getting hit that time.
He didn't mind getting hit, but the rule book states that you have to make an effort to get out of the way of the pitch.
There it is right there, of course. Well, I can vouch for that rule very well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Reggie, and I know you can, too. What about the World Series with the Dodgers?
My name is Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, the rule is there. High chopper. Boa will step on second. They get the force. And that is all. So moving to third is Templeton. Flannery is out. And at first base for the fielder's choice is Alan Wiggins, and Tony Gwynn will come on. Tony Gwynn, of course, the National League batting champion, led all the major leagues in hitting. And our congratulations to Don Mattingly for that title over in the American League. What a year that young man had.
Well, he and Winfield went at it for about 2.5 months. Talk to a guy like Tony Gwynn. He plays in San Diego. They don't read about him in the East because the media doesn't have that kind of coverage where it's get back there the next morning, Don. There's a man with 213 base hits, and barely very many people know who he is.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Alan Wiggins. 70 stolen bases on the year. He can scoop. He'll get as big a lead as anybody. He's got excellent speed.
It would be silly to get picked off in this situation, but also if Wiggins can, if he can get that stolen base, that's another man in scoring position and eliminates the double play.
One out, runners at the corners.
I don't think Dick Williams is afraid to center.
Not at all. And Sutcliffe knows that too. You've got Templeton at third. Good speed at first, and Wiggins. There is the better Sutcliffe move right there.
I think you have a situation right here where you have a left-hand hitter up. You have Jody Davis, who throws the ball exceptionally well. He's improved a great deal over last year. And I think that Mr. Wiggins down there might be a little careful here. Dick Williams is not going to take a chance.
Well, he better be, because he's been picked off picked off 8 times this year in straight pickoffs.
There's a strike in the count 0-1. On deck, Steve Garvey.
And if he doesn't have the go when you get the jump, he might be being a little bit reckless down there.
There, just the let you know I'm watching you move by Sutcliffe. Templeton at third. And Wiggins at first, as we'll keep an eye on him. fly. Boa moving back. Makes the catch. And everybody goes back.
That's a big out right there, Donnie. First and third, one out. A man with 213 base hits, a .350 hitter, and they do not score a run. That's an important out for Mr. Sutcliffe and the Chicago Cubs.
Well, there's two gone. Templeton remains at third, Wiggins at first, and here's Steve Garvey. Now, you might take a look at Wiggins at first with a right-hand hitter up. You see Garvey right there in League Championship Series. Reggie, you're on top, 18. Nettles with 17. Garvey with 14 along with Brett. He'll get a chance to improve that tonight. What do you do here, Earl? You green light him?
Well, right now, no. I'd like him to stay at first base and give these fellas a chance to get me 3 runs. Of course, all us managers, we managers don't think alike.
That's what makes the world go round.
Garvey has been caught looking, and the bunt single.
You see a lot of pitchers do that move right there, the third to first, and you know, you want to say, hey, why do they do that? They're just wasting their time. But I'll tell you, every once in a great while, it just might work.
Up and in. Well, I got to be honest with you, I have not seen that work since a big frost.
Oh, get at it. You know, when it first was introduced, I think the first guy I ever saw do it was Steve Busby. And I saw him get someone when he pitched with Kansas City way back in Oakland in the early 70s.
He definitely did pick people off, and his move was illegal, but the umpires would not call it.
Let's not talk about who the guys were that he picked off.
Well, I'll tell you, Steve Busby and George Brett worked that pickoff play to third base as well as anybody I've ever seen. 1 ball and no strikes to Garvey. 2-0.
Two of them right in on the hands, and Sutcliffe might have wanted that pitch.
It appeared he wanted it. Now Garvey sitting in a driver's position.
I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching a hitter as he makes a move over to first base. I get a lot of enjoyment right now as a baseball player that played, watching a guy like Steve Garvey right now. He knows what he's up against. He knows Sutcliffe is on the roll, and he knows he's got to cash in on something. We're going to see an outstanding at-bat right now.
Well, would you be looking fastball 2-0?
I'd be looking to put a ball and play hard. Right now, 2 balls and no strikes. Yes, I would be looking for a fastball, Earl, because I know, as I said earlier, I've got to capitalize. I've got to have the best possible at-bat I can have. I've got to give my manager and my teammates the best chance I can.
2-0 the count. That was not a good swing at a 2-0 pitch. He came with a slider, so Sutcliffe, a former teammate of Garvey with the Dodgers, knows that very well.
Well, we get to see the pitch again, and Sutcliffe is showing he's not going to give in to the hitters. It's 2 balls, no strikes. I would have been looking fastball, Reggie, but here Sutcliffe, 16-1, throws that breaking ball.
There, the breeze will keep that in play as Durham moves over and in front of Sandberg makes a catch. So the Padres are gone in the 5th. No runs on a hit. They leave a pair. We're halfway through with the Cubs leading it 5-0.
What'd you get? I got a Big Mac. Where's mine? You said you weren't hungry. I said that. Too bad, too, because it's irresistible. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this big, mouth-watering... Hey, Lester, you know the trick is for you to talk while I eat. Everybody seen that trick. Let's see if you can talk while I eat. That's no trick. Trick? You want to see a trick? I'll show you a trick. I'll get my own Big Mac, and I'll sink my own teeth into it. You just sit there and sit in my seat. You think dummy?
What gets commuters moving when the weather says no?
Presto.
What gets your car ready for the ice and snow?
Prestone. Why does your car need a fresh fill of Prestone? A radiator could look this bad after just 10,000 miles of driving on weak, neglected antifreeze, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. That's the Prestone difference.
Susie goes to kindergarten. What brings her safely home? America goes with Prestone.
Once it was hard to find good-looking slacks to fit everybody just right. Then men's stores began selling Sansevelt slacks and Jamar slacks. Many in practical, comfortable, pure wool with a sewn-in wool mark label. 36,000 different sizes, fabrics, colors, styles to fit any man better, including you. Sansevelt slacks, Jamar slacks, from Jamar Ruby.
On Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers, one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the league, tackle the tough New York Giants, Monday at 9 Eastern on ABC.
Bill Murray, a lifelong Cubs fan. You got to like the way things are going now.
Well, this is fun. I waited my whole life for this. I never had good seats this good until like the 6th inning when there was nobody here. You could sneak down here. This is great. To be able to pay for this seat is exciting, very exciting.
It is exciting. Okay, let's go back. Bill Murray, the classic comedian and movie star. Yes, you want something else?
Yes, I think everyone in Chicago should just lie down the floor for a few minutes. Just calm down. It's going to be a long week.
We're calm down here, and so are they in the booth. Don Drysdale, take it.
All right, Timmy, thank you very much, and thank you, Bill, as Greg Harris comes on to take over the pitching chores. See the record in '84, a record of 2-2 and a 2.48 ERA.
Scouting report on Harris. He throws fastball, curve, slider, decent breaking stuff. He's a fellow that can't pitch up. Usually gets in trouble when he throws the ball up above the belt.
Now we're having a little confab over on the first base side as we have the 2 National League supervisors. You saw home plate umpire Dick Cavanaugh moving over. He was over talking with Al Barlick, who was sitting in one dugout. Over on the other side is Ed Vargo, both National League supervisors of umpires, and boy, I'll tell you, they were 2 good ones in their day. And that man, Mr. Barlick, you saw, you said boo to him, and you better have somebody turning the showers on behind you. Here is Bobby Dernier. He takes the breaking pitch for the strike. Dernier, of course, excellent speed. And the count very quickly 0-2.
2 good breaking pitches.
Harris, 28 years old, born in Linwood, makes his home in Los Angeles. A little bit low with a breaking pitch in the count 1-0.
Oh, right now, I'm sure, Earl, maybe you can comment on this, is what Dick Williams is looking for right now out of Harris, just to kind of hold him so they can stay close, or what?
Oh, definitely. Got to keep him close.
Foul left side. We understand from the word that we have, they were just making sure that the umpire knew of the pitching change, just double checking.
And that everybody's lineup card reads the same. The umpire holds the official batting order. No matter what anything else is, he's got the official batting order in his pocket.
Ground ball inside the back down the line. Now he'll go for extra bases. Dernier around first on his way for 2 as Martinez gets on the ball, and Dernier stops at second with a leadoff double.
Wasn't a bad breaking ball. He had it on the outside half of the plate. Dernier up on his front foot a little bit ahead. Got the end of the bat on it and put it in a perfect spot right over the bag at third base.
Well, he has not been swinging the bat that well the last couple of weeks of the season, but you'd never know it today. The playoffs, funny things happen.
A little adrenaline.
Here's Ryan Sandberg. He singled his last time at bat and later scored. Struck out in the first, so he is 1 for 2. One ball and no strikes to Ryan Sandberg. He'll be trying to move that man to third, shooting that ball to the right side if he can, possibly, but maybe not right here either. Not necessarily with a 5-0 lead.
Also, Bob Dernier right now with a 5-0 lead knows he can take a chance and he can run. He's got a right-handed hitter at the plate right now. He's got some protection. Watch out for this man stealing third base.
Well, 2-0, Sandberg should be looking to hit it out the ballpark. That's what I'd want him to do. Another breaking ball.
Now Harris has gone strictly to the breaking pitches. Dernier looking at third base coach Don Zimmer as if to say, I can get a lead. I can get a lead. Do you want me to go? Templeton well back at short. Wiggins, the only man trying to keep him close. That's outside, and Sandberg walks.
And now we might see the double steal to stay out of the double play.
Well, Gary Matthews, acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies in spring training. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to him.
Dallas Green has been quoted as saying when Gary Matthews came here, he needed a holler man. He needed a leader on the field.
Well, I don't know so much about the holler man. I think I have the respect of my teammates as far as saying something to them and them listening, and whether or not they try and go out there and do it. At least they practice at that particular instance. But Dallas has praised me quite a bit this year, and I really do appreciate it. And it's just one of those things where I'm glad he was able to take a chance on me coming from Philadelphia, and I think I showed the people here and him that I still can play this game of baseball.
Well, you just saw Gary Matthews as he lines one in the opposite field in the seats. 3 runs in, and the Cubs take a commanding 8-0 lead.
Maybe he should give more lectures.
Well, that's one way. That's one way to be a leader. Hit 3-run homers. Here we get the pitch. Matthews looks like he's just trying to get the runners over. It looks like he tried to go to right field. He got good wood, and the ball went right out of this ballpark.
Had a good full swing on that ball right there, Earl, and he got the ball up in the air, and bingo. He was giving us a conversation and made it all come true.
And they want him to come back out again. They call him the Sarge, and there's the salute to the fans. Well, you know what's going through that man's mind right now. A little high to Leon Durham. 1 ball and no strikes the count. There's the breaking pitch, in and over.
Yeah, we're looking at an 8-0 ball game in the bottom of the 5th inning, but it's a 5-game series.
Yes, sir. Jams him. Big hop to Wiggins. To Garvey, 1 away. Well, when you're a manager, Earl, in that position right there, you say, well, we're down 8-0. It's going to take an awful big thing to happen for us to come back, but there's tomorrow. We've got to go out and get them tomorrow. So right here, with the 4 home runs by the Cubs, they have tied a league championship series record for one team. Dernier, Matthews has hit 2, and Sutcliffe.
Granted that Mr. Sutcliffe is completely on top of his game. He's got a commanding 8-0 lead. But in baseball, as they say,
what a play! Wiggins knocks it down, and then can't come up with it.
In baseball, as they say, you never know. And they say it's never over until it's over, and make fun of statements like that. But oh, how true.
Here we get a hard hit ball. Wiggins almost came up with it. What an outstanding play that would have been.
So if you're playing in a ballpark like Baltimore or a pitcher's ballpark like San Diego, you get an 8-0 lead, maybe something you can't catch up. But you get in the Fenway Park, you get in the Wrigley Field, you never know what can happen.
Well, that's right.
You're definitely right. I wouldn't think of giving up as early as it is in the ball game, but I would have to start thinking about my bullpen for the future.
That's what I was wondering about. That's why I asked that question about what Dick Williams could be thinking about right now. How long do you go with a Harris, and where do you start moving in your other bullpenners, if indeed you do?
Well, right now there's no one warming up.
Ron Say not looking at home plate umpire Dick Cavanaugh, but he will let the gentleman know he does not agree with that call. That slider down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike as Moreland stands at first. 1 out, 3 runs in. A 3-run home run by Gary Matthews, his 2nd home run of the afternoon, and 2 of the 4 hit by the Cubs. 1-2, a good breaking pitch. Just watching Greg Harris right here, you'd almost think about him as a breaking ball pitcher.
Yes, it seems like he wants to throw his breaking ball. He threw the 1 fastball that I can remember, and it wound up being in the right field bleachers. So it looks like his number 1 pitch is the breaking ball.
These Cub fans have not had a chance to rejoice in 39 years. That's foul left side. 1-2 the count, and believe me, they have capitalized on everything that has happened with these Cubbies this year.
Another thing, in the Cubs dugout right now, they've played this season in Wrigley Field, and they know 8 runs can disappear in a hurry, so they're not going to let up either.
That's true.
No, when you get 8, go out and get 8 more. Start working on that psychological edge for tomorrow. Curveball, as Kennedy wanted it, and Harris wanted it, and it's 1 for you and 1 for me time.
Well, they'd like to also see Sutcliffe save some pitches, not work so hard the rest of this ball game, so that he could come back in the 4th game if they need him.
There's Rick Sutcliffe down in that dugout. High to left. The breeze will bring it back a little, and it will just drop into the seat.
Well, that was a fooler for me. I thought that was going over the fence. Didn't know whether it would be fair or foul, but I thought it was going out the ballpark, and it never got close.
Well, the way the wind is blowing here, Earl, you think everything that goes up in the air is going to go out of the ballpark.
And I'll tell you, I can speak from experience, when you're standing on the mound, and it does that, Reggie, you take an awful lot of deep breaths throughout the afternoon. Shadow starting to creep out. Look at that one shadow. That's right out in front of Say.
It's right down the middle of the plate, Don.
In another 10-15 minutes, that's going to help the pitchers. It's going to help Sutcliffe.
Exactly. You'll see that shadow that is over the upper deck of the stadium. It creeps in, and it'll be even tougher to see at home plate to hit Mr. Sutcliffe.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Say. 3 runs in, and the Cubs lead at 8-0. Oh, what a good swing by Say. Count remains 2-2.
Get a ball player right now like Ronnie Say. His team's got an 8-run lead. Got a man on base here, and the pitcher is struggling. He wants to join the party.
That curveball inside. The count goes full 3-2. 1 out. We'll keep an eye on Moreland. Say has walked and struck out. 0 for 1.
A big part of the running game disappears when the score is 8-0.
Yep. There goes Moreland. Line shot foul.
Moreland not known for his speed either.
I think right here with Moreland at first and Say at the plate, and Jimmy Fry knowing what can happen here at Wrigley Field, would just like to try and stay out of a double play.
You see him starting the runner trying to stay out of a double play, which means that Mr. Jimmy Fry is not that comfortable sitting on an 8-run lead. He's going for as many runs as possible.
There's no doubt about that. You certainly wouldn't want to blow one like this.
Outside, and he walks him. And he walked him on a breaking pitch. Cubs put runners at first and second. You have Moreland at second, Say at first, and here's Jody Davis 0 for 2, has flied to left and flied to right. Still no action in the bullpen, so it might be up to young Greg Harris to work himself out of a jam. Oh, and 1 to count.
Manager doesn't like to put his pitcher in a situation where there's no relief for him, but there's not much you can do. Sometimes you just have to let someone stay out there and swallow the medicine.
Down low. Well, you know, when you think about games in the past here at Wrigley Field, I can remember a few years back the Phillies and the Cubs, they got into one. It was something like
24 to 23 or something like that.
It was
Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs.
Yeah.
But he hits 4, I think, every time he comes here.
He loves this ballpark. A swing by Davis. Well, I told you yesterday, Reggie, if you played your career here, as you look at the Cubs home runs home and on the road, 86 to 50, but you would just put, I think, a 6. Instead of the 500 plus, you would put a 600 plus.
Well, I appreciate the compliment.
Broken bat, base hit. Here comes Moreland. To third is Say. It's a 9-0 ball game.
And when things go right, they really go right. A good breaking ball under the bat, broke the bat, and fell right where no one could handle it.
Exactly. Exactly. When things are going right for you, it really doesn't matter what you do. You break your bat, wind up with an RBI single.
Here we get it. You can see the break of the ball. Davis backing away. The bat flew one way, the ball went the other.
Exactly. Talking about things going right for you, Jody Davis bailed on that pitch, pulled away from it, got the bat on it, broke the bat, still got a base hit.
Here's Larry Boa. Wiggins could be two. He will touch the runner. The run score. So Davis stopped as Wiggins might have had a little mental lapse, Earl.
Well, Don, I really don't think so. Davis at first base did the right thing.
Yes.
He did not let the second baseman Wiggins tag him. If he gets in a rundown, that run's going to score either way.
Exactly. Give credit to what Jody Davis did.
Good base running.
He stopped and did not automatically run into the out.
Now the fans on their feet as Rick Sutcliffe stands in. 5 runs in, 10-0. The Cubs on top. Curveball for the strike. If you're Rick Sutcliffe and you've been sitting there watching the sequence of pitches, you might just turn around and say, I'm going to look for me a little curveball and go to Whalen on this guy. That curveball misses.
Well, I think a hitter would do that. Right now, I don't think Sutcliffe is concerned with getting a base hit. And it goes back. This has been a long inning. Sutcliffe has got to try to steal some pitches when he goes out there, warm up, get more than his the maximum 8.
Sutcliffe is the 9th man to come to the plate. Five runs in. Boa at first with an RBI. A little bit low.
Well, it's the 5th inning. You wonder if you want Sutcliffe to come back in the 4th game, not throw many pitches, would you take him out here or not? I wouldn't. I'd want this first game under my belt any way that I could get it.
I'll tell you what, Earl, if Jim Fry would take him out and they'd wind up tying this ball game up, Jim Fry may not be able to come back to the ballpark here tomorrow.
Exactly right.
There's not enough places in Chicago to hide.
No.
Well, the Cubs feel, talking to a lot of them, that they want to go out of here 2-0.
He looked mighty calm right there.
A little looper. The Breeze going to take that away from Templeton and drops in front of Martinez. Boa at third. Sutcliffe is 2 for 3.
Can't do much more. Can't do much more than what this man is doing today.
And again, another broken bat base hit.
Again, things are going the right way.
Now Sutcliffe, he does not want the jacket. Vukovic.
I'm sure that he doesn't care right now. He's got a 10-0 lead, and he is on a roll. He's got a couple of base hits. He's in charge. All the adrenaline is flowing. I'm sure he doesn't need anything to keep him warm.
Not much. Bob Dernier, you see right there, 2 for 2. He scored 3 times. A home run. He has walked and scored and doubled and scored. Sutcliffe at first, Boa at third. Well, that 10-0. You think about that?
We can think about it. Just last week, the Twins were up 10-0, trying to keep themselves from getting eliminated. They lost the game 11-10.
That's low.
I wonder if Rick Sutcliffe was on the mound then, though.
No. They had a pretty good one, though, Frank Viola.
That's true. That's true.
Pretty good one. There's a strike, and the count goes to 3-1. So the 10th man to come to the plate, Dernier, started everything off with a double inside the bag down the line at third. Look at that. Wow. Well, the bases are loaded. The third walk in the inning. And the 11th man to come to the plate. And here comes pitching coach Norm Sherry.
Still nobody up in the bullpen.
Every once in a while, like you did say earlier, Don, a guy just has to stay out there and take his lumps for the benefit of the ball club in order to save the bullpen.
Well, in this situation right here, and I'm sure Terry Kennedy is probably saying something to Norm Cherry. We know it's been a bad inning, but that was not a bad pitch.
He's made some good pitches. Two broken bats that fell for base hits.
And Ryan Sandberg will stand in. He walked and scored.
Well, as a manager, I'd want more runs, but my thoughts would be, let's get Sutcliffe back on that mound. Get him working again.
You're a manager and not a player, and the players are right now saying, hey, Ryan Sandberg is saying that I haven't joined the party yet. I've got a bloop single, but I want to get involved.
Well, he can take you deep. 19 home runs on the year. Nettles, good play, goes the short way. They don't get it. Another run scored.
Sandberg, again, trying to get into the party, trying to join the party, hits a hard smash inside the third base bag. Nettles making that ever so popular diving stab with a great throw to second base, but not in time.
Nettles completely extended on the play. Did the only thing he could, get it down to second base. Demir's speed beat the play.
And they will give Sandberg a base hit. And here is Gary Matthews. 2 home runs today, a chopper foul.
You take a look again at this home run, a fastball away, and he hits it right into the right field bleachers.
And that happened this inning, Reggie.
Yes, it did.
Believe it or not.
That seemed like a long time ago.
Yes, it does.
Most home runs in a game. Brett and Robertson, National League. Robertson with Pittsburgh in 1971. Brett for Kansas City, 1978. So Gary Matthews knocking right at the door.
I will say right now that with the score the way it is right now, that I'm sure Mr. Matthews is thinking about that third home run, and he's got the bases loaded as well.
Got him looking. So he'll have to wait another time at bat. But the Cubs come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs. And they lead it by a score of 10-0. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
Do you know the biggest craze that's sweeping America? It's bigger than breakdancing, more popular than Michael Jackson. It's coming your way. The show where you win the biggest prizes for the smallest facts. Trivia Trap, hosted by Bob Eubanks.
That's Trivia Trap, premiering Monday at 11:10 Central and Pacific.
Well, trucking the Illinois State Lottery. Got $1 million cash for somebody. See, play 1 million cash instant lottery.
If anyone can tell you how many cities United flies to, I can. 151. Because every morning, flight after flight lifts off with a load of my sweet rolls. 747s, 767s, DC-10, New York to LA, Miami to Seattle. So many flights to so many cities with so many of my sweet rolls. So next time you're in the friendly skies, someone says,
my compliments to the sweet roll man.
You'll know who they're talking about.
You're not just flying, you fly in the friendly skies.
King Edward cigars. Think about the taste. Think about the price. It makes a man want to smoke 'em. Smoke 'em. Smoke 'em. Smoke 'em. Smoke 'em. King Edward cigars. Smoke 'em.
John Drury, weekdays at 5 and 10.
Tonight, the American League Championship Series takes off when 84's best, the Detroit Tigers, scrap it out with the slugging Kansas City Royals. Live starting at 8 Eastern on ABC.
Well, it's 11-0. Greg Nettles will lead it off as we go to the 6th. I talked with Greg prior to the game.
You're back home. You've left New York. Any thoughts ever enter your mind about the years in New York?
Oh, yeah, those were probably the best years of my baseball life. I spent 11 good years there. We had some good ball clubs. But right now, I'm a San Diego Padre. And, you know, to come over here to a team that I've been a fan of my whole life and to get into the playoffs the first year is a dream come true for me.
What about George Steinbrenner? Any thoughts there?
No, he's got a lot of rebuilding to do over there. And if, you know, like my advice before was to let the baseball people handle it, and they'll be all right. And I hope he lets that happen, because I'd like to see the Yankees on top again, because it's good for all the baseball when the Yankees are on top.
Well, the words of Greg Nettles as he hits the first pitch and sends the fly ball to Bobby Dernier in center field. There's one out in the at the top of the 6th inning, and Terry Kennedy will come on. He is 0 for 1, bounced to second and walked. 11-0. The Cubs a commanding lead in game number 1 of the National League Championship Series.
We talked about pitches by Sutcliffe. He took 12 pitches in between innings. He's thrown 78 pitches going into this inning, 36 of them the last two innings.
There's Greg Booker in the bullpen. 0-2 to Kennedy. Up and away. A ball and 2 strikes. A little bit off, and the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes.
Don, they say Terry Kennedy has not swung the bat well this year as well as he had in the last couple of years. A lot of the Padres feel he's going to have to swing the bat, get a lot of base hits in order for the Padres to win these short series.
And the count goes even at 2-2. A capacity crowd here at Wrigley Field this afternoon. First time, as I mentioned before, in 39 years since a World Series with the Tigers, that the Cub fans have gone to overtime. The seating capacity of 37,275. Could be some more here than that. As Kennedy goes down on strikes, 2 gone to Kevin McReynolds.
Rest in between innings hasn't seemed to bother Sutcliffe, but right now the shadows are moving out in front of home plate. There we got Ernie Banks. I know he's a happy man.
And Don Zimmer, the third base coach. They played against one another here, and they played with one another.
You can see the shadows right there, ball coming out of the sun into the darkness.
Well, that can make it tough. Two balls and no strikes to McReynolds, who has struck out and walked. Sitting right there behind home plate, kind of put yourself in the eyes of the hitter.
Right into your living room.
2-1.
It'd be interesting to see how many times he gets behind in the count, because you know, in command, the way he's been pitching the last couple of weeks of the season, he's going to go right after the hitters right now with a big lead like he has now. 11-0.
He got Nettles on the first pitch and jumped right ahead of the second hitter.
Well, I think that's the big thing you've got to do right here. Go right out after him, and then just cut down your total number of pitches. That's all. But he turns around and walks McReynolds. Well, tonight on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, a look at one amateur umpire who is working today's game because of the strike, and the profile of the unorthodox owner of the Detroit Tigers. That's tonight on ABC's World News Tonight. We talked with Jim Evans just a while back, and he is the president of the Major League Umpires Association, and this is the statement of Jim Evans, the president. We feel that we are a very integral and essential part of the great game, and we deserve a fair distribution of the monies generated by baseball. In 1982, the leagues agreed to roll over the issues of pooling and preseason money. The leagues told us to wait and see how they came out with their negotiations for TV revenues in 1983. The league signed a 6-year TV package for $1.2 billion. That's an increase per year of $150 million. They told us to wait and see. We have waited and we have seen. They have offered us a token
of $39,000, the increase. We don't feel that fair or equitable, and we feel very strongly about that. Those were the words quoted by Mr. Jim Evans, the president of the Major League Umpires Association. And that is talking about postseason play, I should say. It is postseason play, talking about the League Championship Series and the World Series. And that is why we have the four men in blue here this afternoon, amateur umpires.
In not a good situation.
No, it's not. Carmelo Martinez goes down on strikes, and the Padres are gone in the sixth inning. Strikeout number 7. No runs on no hits, no errors, and a man left. We go to the bottom of the sixth inning. It's 11-0. The Cubs on top.
Looks like you're into winning.
You bet.
Then today Chevrolet has a car for you, Cavalier.
Come on in, and you'll know. Turn it on, let it go. It's at your command.
2 liters of electronically fuel-injected power, front-drive agility, and optional sports suspension. Cavalier. Grab one.
If this is today's Chevrolet, it's a winner.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy.
Live it.
Chevy.
America, I love you, America. You know, my God, he done shed his grace.
Black & Decker tools are helping rebuild liberty. And this fall, whenever you buy one of our selected power tools, we'll make a donation in your name, too, for liberty.
From sea to shining sea.
4'9", you know who, and she does everything the big boys do. Double backs that reach the sky. She's even got a move the boys won't try. So pour it on, Mary Lou. Wheaties has the taste for you. Wheaties, Wheaties, that's your style. Now flash, 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 that winning smile.
Watch out, big boys.
I'm Peter Jennings. On ABC's World News tonight, we'll take a look at the unorthodox owner of baseball's Detroit Tigers. His name is Tom Monahan, and he could boost attendance all by himself.
Well, you're looking at the man in the blue shirt leaning over. Stand up, Dallas Green. We see you over there. As he has put the pieces together, and what a job he has done, the general manager, vice president, general manager of these Chicago Cubs. A great job by Dallas Green.
Got to give him credit because he went out on the limb, made changes.
Oh, you sure do. I'll tell you, at the start of the year.
He was vocal about it.
Well, what about coming out to front office and taking over a ball club and going into the World Series? That's amazing.
Got to give the man credit. He stepped up.
Leon Durham. There's a couple to Hopper. Right over to the second baseman, Wiggins. One away as we go to the bottom of the sixth inning. And that'll bring on Keith Moreland, who is 1 for 2. A sacrifice fly in the third, has an RBI. He singled in the fifth and scored. Right fielder.
I think this reminds us of the 1969 Mets with a great catch that Ron Sobota made. Remember, there were men on base when he made that play. I believe the bases were loaded. Carmelo Martinez hit that ball to right field with a 5-0 lead.
Right
Big
now,
play.
even though the score, I think, Reggie and Earl, if you look at this game, that very well could have been the key play of the ball game so far.
Up to this point, it definitely is.
Big play.
One ball and 1 strike to Moreland. There's one out. We're in the bottom of the sixth inning, and the Cubs on top by a score of 11-0.
Well, Don, what Earl Weaver was talking about earlier, you just wondered how long they were going to let Rick Sutcliffe go if they were going to try to bring him back and pitch the third or fourth game with a lot more rest.
Nettles on the line, long throw to get him.
And we see Mr. Brewster warming up in the bullpen now.
Well, it'll be interesting whether he is going to go with Brewster, whether he's getting some work in. But a reminder, be sure to join ABC Sports next Monday for another exciting game on Monday Night Football as Joe Montana leads the San Francisco 49ers against Phil Simms and the New York Giants live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time right here on ABC. 2 gone to save. Ron has walked, struck out, walked again, and scored.
Well, Harris has made some good pitches in this inning. Again, we got to go back to the 6-run fifth. He made some good pitches there, broke some bats, but they fell in.
That's hit to center field. Hit well. McGraw's going back to the wall. It's gone.
That ball's hit good.
Boy, do they jump out of here.
I'll tell you they can jump.
The song for Reggie Jackson is "If I Knew You Was Coming, I'd Hit You a Homie."
Oh, boy. Well, Dick Williams, just, hey, let's get our 9 in. Forget about it. That's only 1 out of 5.
That's a record number of home runs by a team in a championship series game.
There's a little looper down the right field line. The wind's going to keep that fair. So Jody Davis will go to second base, and he'll be there with a double. His second hit of the afternoon. He wasn't going to start to run until he saw the wind take the ball.
Well, we just saw Dick Williams, and there's not a thing he can do about it. Got to try to save this bullpen if he possibly can.
The cupboard was bare. As you look at that bullpen, and that'll bring on Larry Bowa. Takes the curveball for the strike.
Dick's been through it before, and he'll have some words of encouragement to his ball players when he walked in, when he goes into the clubhouse after the ball game.
He's tough. They're not going to give up. They've been around too long.
Look at that. Off the end of the bat, Timberland got a charge. Bare hand. He can't get it. Throws it away. Here comes the runner from third, Davis, and throw to second. They won't get Bowa. Davis scores. Another run for the Cubs. It's 13-0.
We get to see it again. A little squibber off the end of the bat. Wouldn't go right back to the pitcher. It goes to his right. Templeton comes in. Comes up with it one-handed. Does everything he possibly can to throw him out. A bad throw. And what's that about Murphy's Law? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
That's about it. And here is Rick Sutcliffe.
Safe all over.
Now the first error of the ball game. And Rick Sutcliffe will stand in. That is a hit and an error. Sutcliffe, he's going to try and catch Matthew. You see, the first time at bat, hit one right out of the ballpark in right field. Now in the dirt, blocked by Kennedy. The American League Championship Series starts tonight from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, the Royals and the Tigers, and we'll be right back here again. Of course, that game tonight, 8 Eastern time, and we'll be right back here at Wrigley Field tomorrow with game number 2 starting at 2 o'clock Eastern time, the Cubs and the Padres. And we'll see 2 left-handers tomorrow, Steve Trout for the Cubs, Mark Thurman for the Padres.
Well, the score creates a situation for Jim Fry. Should I take Sutcliffe out or should I leave him in? He's going to get second-guessed either way. Bruce Starr comes in and gives up some runs. They're going to say, why didn't you leave him in? Sutcliffe stays in and shuts him out, and it's a blowout. And then they're going to say, why didn't you save Sutcliffe so that he could go the 4th game?
See right there, a new championship series record, 13 runs in a game, and we're a long ways from being over. They might just add to it.
Looks like Rick Sutcliffe's trying to add to it himself, Tom.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. If it doesn't help to have a pitcher who can help himself swinging the bat, I don't know what else can. That is across the street. There's some happy Cub fans over there. Outside, full count, 3-2.
Well, they went 2-2 with the pitcher. If you can't challenge the pitcher, you're not going to challenge many people.
So Sutcliffe is gone. But they pick up 2 more runs. On 3 hits, there was an error and 1 man left. And let's go back. Look at the super slow-mo again. Watch the rotation of the ball and watch Reggie, the swing of Ron Say.
This is a great home run cut right here, Don. Straight away to center field. He stays right on the baseball. Gets the ball up in the air. And Kevin McReynolds is just getting in wind sprints. There's no doubt about that one.
So the Cubs are gone in the 6th inning. And that is the story. 6 in game 1, 13-0. The Cubs on top.
This Bud's for everyone who scrapes it, sprays it, and lays it on smooth.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
IBM presents You Make the Call. A batter hits a line drive that strikes the pitcher in the back. But look, before the ball can fall to the ground, the shortstop makes the catch. Is the batter out? You make the call.
In these modern times, even the best manager needs help to succeed. For when pressure builds, it becomes harder to keep things rolling without losing control and falling behind. A manager could use the IBM personal computer for smoother scheduling and greater productivity. It can help a manager become a big wheel in the company. The IBM personal computer at a store near you.
A batter is considered out when a ball is caught before it hits the ground, no matter how many players touch it. So if you said the batter was out, then you made the right call.
On CFA College Football, the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers clash with unbeaten Oklahoma State, or Georgia tackles Alabama, Saturday live at 3:30 on ABC.
Well, we go to the top half of the 7th inning. Henry Cotto is the new left fielder for the Chicago Cubs. There's Cotto in left. Matthews comes out, and Gary Templeton will lead it off. Takes outside, 1-0. Sutcliffe out in inning number 7. Out of play. And we'll have a pinch hitter. Bobby Brown is out on deck as he will hit for Harris. There's Bobby.
Not only do they have to contend with the greatness of Sutcliffe right now, but they've also got to contend with those shadows. It's extra tough now.
Bounce foul right side. The count 2-2.
Well, in other ballparks, you'd hope for the whole field to be covered in shadows or for darkness to come in because you could turn the lights on and you could see better. But here in Wrigley Field, it's...
For a guy like Dick Williams, you come back and complain about the lights right now and not being able to see. What he'd say is, well, look a little harder.
Yeah. It didn't hurt the other side. Up high. On the other hand, when you're talking about Sutcliffe, yes, he has struggled just a shade here this afternoon. But he's only given up 2 hits.
Amazing.
Bobby Brown will come on and pinch hit. Right now, let's go out somewhere in Wrigley Field and Tim McCarver. Timmy?
All right, Don, I have the partial architect of Wrigley Field. He planted the vines in 1938 and was partially responsible for the scoreboard, the ever-popular Bill Veeck. Bill, you love this seat, don't you?
Well, I sit here every time the sun shines. I've enjoyed sitting here this summer a great deal more than in summers past. But you know, the interesting thing is that people make a great mistake of thinking because they pay more money, they get better seats. These, as you can tell by looking, are the best seats in the house. The beer is colder. The sun's is warmer. You can tell more lies, and the people are more knowledgeable.
A very knowledgeable man in his own right, Bill Veeck. Now let's go back up to the booth to Don Drysdale.
Yes, sir, Timmy, a knowledgeable man indeed. That is the view that the bleacher bums, as they call them here at Wrigley Field, have. And indeed, they have a ball. You know, the tickets were impossible to get, but 3 players, Keith Moreland, Bobby Dernier, Gary Matthews, made sure that some of the ever-loved bleacher bums represented the Cubs here during these playoff series. And they had a lottery, and they got together and put up 113 tickets, and the fans were able to buy them. That's up high. So the count 3-0 to Bobby Brown. That is where Sutcliffe has struggled today. He's walked a few.
Bobby Brown has been a pretty good pinch hitter, as we saw there, coming off the bench this year, hitting .375. You know, in my watching Rick Sutcliffe, he seems almost the same he was when he was in the American League. He gets a little bit wild, but he always seems to come back.
There's a strike, and the count goes to 3-1.
Every time you thought you had him on the ropes, he'd run the count to 3-0, 3-1. He'd walk a guy or two. Then he'd always make that important pitch, that pitch that put the game in balance and get him out.
Out of play, off to our left. And a full count out of Brown at 3-2. Well, he's a battler. There's no question about that. Got him looking. Strike 3 call.
That's what happens right there, Johnny. You come back from a 3-ball, 1-strike count. He gets a foul, and all of a sudden, strike 3.
And what do you think Brown could have been looking for?
Boy, I do not know.
It was a fastball right down the middle. We get to see it again. I mean, belt high right over the center of the plate.
Yes, it was. It was a 13-0 fastball right there.
That is strikeout number 8 for Sutcliffe this afternoon. And here's Alan Wiggins 0 for 3. Line to center. He has struck out. Was on a fielder's choice. 1 ball and no strikes to count. 1 out, 1 on. We're in the top of the 7th inning. And the Cubs on top 13-0. Sutcliffe moving along on a 2-hit shutout. There's a shot to Sandberg. Goes to Boa for 1. Back to Durham. They double him up. So the Padres are gone to the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors. They leave nobody. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and the Cubs lead it 13-0.
These days, when you're pumping your own gas, nobody's going to ask to check your oil. That's your job, and Pennzoil is the oil for the job. When you're around golf course machinery as much as I am, you know you've got to check the oil to keep that engine protected. And you know you've got to use a quality oil. So when you check your oil, and you should, ask for Pennzoil.
Pennzoil, quality protection. Ask for it.
It never fails. The one thing most people overlook about their cars is the belts. You see, after 4 years, they can go any time. And since today's belts don't show wear, even I can't always tell when just by looking. So if your car's over 4 years old, replace the belts. And tell them you want gates. Now, they've been keeping engines cool for over 60 years, even longer than me. Remember, after 4 years, they can go any time.
When you're working on your American dream, you want it to last forever.
Anderson Windows have helped build American dreams for over 75 years with innovation, energy efficiency, and pride. At Anderson, there are no seconds.
We take the time to build the best. That's what we've always been. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
Do you know the biggest craze that's sweeping America? It's coming your way. The show where you find out more than you ever knew you could know. Trivia Trap with Bob Eubanks, premiering Monday at 11:10 Central and Pacific.
Well, Greg Booker is the 3rd pitcher, but in the 7th inning stretch, the one and only, you've got to know the man, Harry Caray.
Harry's voice used to be a little bit better. But he gives it all. He gives us all.
I'll tell you, I've known that man I don't know how many years, and there is a legend. What a guy.
He was broadcasting for the St. Louis Cardinals when I got my only shot with the St. Louis Cardinals on a major league roster. I hit
right?
268 that spring, but they would have rather had Shane Deist.
Bobby Dernier does not get the pitch in the count 0-2 very quickly.
You know, I think the old take me out to the ball game is really something nice. I guess you could say that Harry Carey brought it back when he went over to the White Sox.
That's
but
exactly
it's just
right.
really nice to see the fans participate in that, and there's nothing like it when you're here to see it in person.
And these Cubs fans, I'll tell you, they enjoy it as Dernier goes down on strikes. So Booker retires the first man that he faces here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and that'll bring on Ryan Sandberg, who is 2 for 3.
That's the first time they've got Bobby Dernier out today.
That's exactly right.
Home run, a couple of walks, and a double.
And has scored 3 times, has an RBI. But Greg Booker, he's a 6'6", 233-pounder.
He started Sunday's ball game, the last ball game of the season for the Padres, worked 5 or 6 innings. I was wondering if Dick Williams was expecting to have to use him today.
Sandberg goes through the pitch in the count 1-1. Well, when he signed with the Padres, he was selected as a first baseman. And he has made the transition.
Showing us some pretty good stuff. Scouting report has a fastball that sinks. Sliders fair. The change is a forkball. That split-fingered fastball.
What happens down here when you find a guy wind up turning into a pitcher is they find out that that old curveball is the great equalizer, and you write home and say, Mom, fix up my room, but first I'm going to try to pitch first.
That's it. That breaking pitch.
No intent there.
No. 2-2 the count.
Not in a ball game like this.
Warren Brusar throwing again down in the bullpen for the Cubs. The 2-2 pitch. Just outside. Full count, 3-2. There's Brusar.
And again, Jim Fry has to be thinking, should I or shouldn't I take Rick Sutcliffe out?
Pops him up left side. Templeton still drifting back, makes the catch.
Steve drifting on that ball. The wind is still a factor.
Yes, sir. So there's 2 gone. A reminder, the National League Championship Series, it's an ABC Sports exclusive, is being brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Here's Henry Cotto. He's at bat for the first time this afternoon, taking over for Gary Matthews. See, Cotto at 274 on the year, 8 RBIs, but he has played some great baseball for these Cubs this year.
Outstanding defensive ball player.
Two balls and no strikes to count.
Henry Cotto does quite a few things well. He runs well. He's got 9 stolen bases. Pretty good average for not playing that much. And an outstanding defensive player as well.
Two balls and a strike to Cotto with Leon Durham on deck. There's one of those swings, look to left, swing to center, and hit it to right.
Well, Booker, duck in the dugout.
Booker looks impressive. He threw that ball easy, and it got up there in a hurry.
Whoops, something happened out in right field.
Again, I think it's a little tough to see. Uh-oh.
That's a little unnecessary right there.
I agree.
Somebody can get hurt, and that is certainly uncalled for.
That's not part of the fun at the old ballpark.
No, sir. And if he went back and had Mr. Bill Veck again, he would say that is definitely a no-no.
You know, when you have a town like Chicago with a great ballpark and the great fans that they have and all the fans they have across the country, that's not good for the fans. They're better than that. They've got more class than that.
Yes, they have. Tony Gwynn will try and move that out as quickly as he can.
He's certainly not getting any help from anyone. Reggie, what was that money thing in New York when you were there? You turned it into charity, did you not?
Yes, I did. My last year there, people were wondering if I was going to sign a contract, and they wanted to try to make their contribution themselves to say, we want to keep you here, Reggie, and they'd throw money whenever I did anything good in right field or whenever I hit a home run.
What about when you did something bad? Did you get any of that?
No, they throw bombs like that.
All
right. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Henry Cotto.
Great fans in New York.
Bouncer to the hole, and that'll be a base hit left field. Templeton would not have been able to make a play on Cotto anyway. He has excellent speed.
Is there anybody in the lineup who was not invited to the party?
I was going to say, and he joins the party as well.
He sure does.
Everybody's got a base hit.
I was going to ask both of you fellas this question a couple of innings ago, and I'm going to ask you this now. If you're in a game like this, if you're going to lose, say when it's all over and said and done, would you rather lose a 2-1 ball game or just have something like this? If it's going to happen and it's in the books, get blown out like this, what would you do?
Well, my words would be the same. When I walked in the clubhouse, I'd say all we wanted was 1 out of 2. Today was their day. Tomorrow's our day.
Perfect. Reggie?
I think it would make a difference if the San Diego Ball Club was a young ball club. But you have players like Steve Garvey, like Gossage, like Greg Nettles, like Mr. Kennedy, Terry Kennedy. You're not going to scare these people. They know a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter. Tomorrow can be a victory, whether you win 1-0 or 10-0.
High chopper, and Wiggins will have to hurry, and Durham can run, and they just do get him. So the Cubs are gone in the 7th inning. No runs on a hit, no errors, and they leave a man aboard. So you see right there, we're through 7, and it is 13-0. The Cubs on top. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, Earl, to go along with your thoughts about Sutcliffe and the thoughts of Jimmy Fry, while Sutcliffe was in there, he threw 108 pitches.
That's not too many pitches. He could come back on 3 days rest.
Bouncer takes Nettles right to the bag, steps on third, and the side retired. So the Cubs are gone. No runs on a hit, no errors, and they leave a pair. That's the story through 8 complete. 13-0. The Cubs on top.
Joan Kroc, the owner of the Padres, and I guess you have learned enough about the game to realize that you can only lose 1 at a time, right?
That's right. I know that we lost today, and I think it was about the 6th inning that I donned a Cubs cap. And someone said, "Is that a concession?" And I said, "Yes, it is, for today."
For today, back at them tomorrow.
Better believe it.
And we'll go back to the booth with Don Drysdale, Reggie Jackson, and Earl Weaver.
Thank you very much, Timmy. And indeed, the First Lady of the San Diego Padres, a lovely lady. And a loss, of course, to the Padres, to baseball, with the passing of Ray Kroc. And now, how we would have loved to have seen his ball club in the championship series. And they've dedicated this year to Ray.
That's what the RAK for.
That's
it. On the left-hand sleeve.
Here is Kevin McReynolds as he takes his strike. Tom Verizon is the new third baseman for the Cubs, taking over for Ron Say. So you have your infielder, Verizon, Boa on the left side, Sandberg and Durham still on the right side. There's Verizon, and Gary Woods moves into right field. So your outfield now of Cotto in left, Dernier in center, and Woods in right. That hurts.
Good words by Tim McCarver. You can only lose them 1 at a time, no matter what the score is.
That's it.
Sure.
That's it. You know, if they're going to get 13, may as well get 25. Get them all out of your system today, maybe.
This hurts. As we take a look at it again, Kevin McReynolds fouling that ball right down, right on the inside of his ankle. I've seen a lot of ball players do that. They wear a little shin guard once in a while to protect them from it.
All right. I don't know what it is. It seems maybe I've just noticed it more. It seems like you see more guys doing that today than ever before.
Yeah.
Just outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Foul right side. Watch that breeze. It's blowing it back, and that ball is just out of play. Boy, that'll give you an idea what that wind will do.
Yes, it did. Durham didn't even go over to the dugout. He
Not at all.
It was long gone.
Well, he's been playing here a couple of years. Maybe he knows the stadium that well.
If he does, I won't go to the track with him. Boy, the wind conditions, they are unbelievable here in Chicago in both ballparks. And again, it's to the right side. Now watch the breeze here. There's Woods moving over, now moving back and makes a catch.
And somebody asked me why I didn't sign with the Cubs. That's why right there.
What a thrill it must be for a manager to come out here each day and watch everybody circle around under those pop flies.
You know, a lot of people always thought, and they read a lot of stories about this ballpark, that the wind always blew out. Well, indeed, that doesn't. That is a fallacy. Cubs PR assistant Ned Colletti, he keeps wind treads for home games. And this is what he has come up with as Martinez takes a strike. This year, he says the wind blew in 31 games. It blew out 29, and 19 you had a crosswind.
All right. All right. A wind stat.
That's it.
First of that I've heard.
So the count 0-2. Reminder, our executive producer of ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. Coverage of today's game was produced by Dennis Lewin, directed by Ken Pounce, technical director Mike Blazo, associate director Jimmy Roberts. There is just out of the reach of Larry Boa. So Martinez is aboard. And don't forget, the American League playoffs will be coming your way tonight from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Our unit manager, of course, is Jonathan Lease, and the assistant to the producer, Amy Smollins, our researcher, and our thanks to Jerry Klein and statistician Peter Hurt. Thank you, gentlemen, and all of you. The crew has had some workout in day one, I'll say that. There's another little fister into center field. That's going to drop. So Templeton, he's aboard as Martinez moves to second.
I could go for a little fireworks here, a little excitement, put a few runs up on the board, and just kind of enjoy it a little bit.
How long would it take them to get 13 runs?
I don't know, but I bet you if they score 3 or 4 runs, we get to see Jimmy Fry take that hat off and rub his hair a little bit.
Well, there's one out, and there's
Doesn't look like he's fooling around, does it?
Not at all.
Mr. Smith, though.
He's going to put any fire out as soon as he sees a spark. Lee Smith out there, the big man, the ace out of the Cub bullpen.
You know, I read earlier this year when I was in Oakland, they had Lee Smith clocked in San Francisco at 101 miles an hour.
Wow. Champ Summers coming on to pinch hit. Summers, strong left-hand hitter. Takes high, want to know the count.
Brewster had 2 men on base last inning, got out of it 4-6, 6-3.
The ball was hit hard, though, Earl.
There's a little looper as Sandberg will make the catch. Back to second, not in time. So there's 2 gone. And that'll bring the top of the order, and it'll bring the fans to their feet.
They need one.
Here's Alan Wiggins. He's 0 for 4 this afternoon. And there's a strike. The Padres scratching out just 6 hits this afternoon. A little looper, Larry Boa calling, and that ought to do it. Makes the catch in the side, retired, and game number 1 is in the books. For the Padres in the 9th inning, no runs on 2 hits, no errors. They leave a pair, and the final score in game number 1. The Chicago Cubs 13, the San Diego Padres nothing. Look at that. They are geared and ready to go tomorrow.
Not one fan left the ballpark.
They don't do it here, Earl. They stay right to the bitter end. This year, though, they've had a lot of sweet endings. Ernie Banks down in the dugout. Mr. Cub himself. The Cubs, they win game number 1, 13-0, and we'll be back after this message and a word from our local station.
Me and the